Do that. So Eagle and then Samantha.
I'm gonna give my time to Ozzy.
Okay, never mind. Moving on. So we're going to.
Oh, what the fuck?
Said
That's
that, you know,
bullshit.
probably made a good
Oh,
point with
excuse
like
me. Hold on,
ISIS
hold on.
saying.
Eagle, excuse me. What did you just say? What did you just say?
So that's bullshit.
I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that.
Excuse me? Holy fuck. I decide who the fuck talks here. You got a problem with that? Get the fuck out. Don't ever test me again. Don't do that. Not here or not ever. Not fucking ever. I decide. No one fucking else. Got it?
Someone's man.
Sure.
Thank you. Moving on. So it's about something that happened in the UK. The UK has stripped citizenship from an ISIS member. Now, this is a big story in the UK. I'll put a link in chat so you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this UK stripped citizenship from a person who had joined ISIS. She joined ISIS when she was, what was it, 17, I think? Hold on. Hold on. I just saw it now. But she joined ISIS a few years ago. Oh, excuse me, when she was 15. Excuse me. She joined ISIS when she was 15. And then she was 19 when she left the group. Someone is typing out here. GSU, if you could mute yourself, please. Thank you. And then someone else is typing too. If you're typing, then please mute yourself. Someone else is typing. Do it now. Mute yourself because it's annoying me.
Oh, did I unmute myself?
I don't know. Okay. All right. Cool. She was 15 when she and two friends left their home in East London to join the Islamic State in Syria. She was 19 when she emerged from the terrorist group's collapsing caliphate, prompting the British government to strip her of citizenship and declare she would never be allowed to return to the country. And she was 21 when the Supreme Court of the UK issued a landmark ruling that she could not come back to London to appeal the loss of her citizenship. Her future is in legal limbo, and her home is now a refugee camp in northern Syria. This is from the article, if you can't tell. And just a little bit more. The story has consumed the British press, which has lingered on details of how the schoolgirl became a jihad bride, and how all three of the children she had with a Dutch ISIS fighter died as infants in Syria. This case, so why this is important, right? Beyond this specific woman, the next paragraph. But let's discuss the chill that the case has sent through many other British children of immigrants. Many have watched in alarm at how easily the government took citizenship away from a woman of color who was born and raised in the United Kingdom. Okay, so here's what I want to discuss. This again, look at the article I just put in chat. I'll put it in chat again. Oh, I put it in VC chat for you guys if you want as well. So you guys can take a look at this thing. VC chat. There you go. So there's that article right there. So is this fair? Right? We actually have we have an example of this here in the States, right? We had what was it? Was it Taliban bill or something? I don't know. Remember that it was that one white guy who went and joined I believe either Al Qaeda or the Taliban or something, right? One of those groups. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't remember the name. Maybe someone in chat.
He joined fucking ISIS, yeah.
Yeah, maybe one of you guys in chat can help me out. It's blanking my mind, but it was whatever. But he was a citizen, and he left. He went to join, and got captured later on. Jihad John. I'm not sure if it's Jihad John because there's a second one. There is someone who was of, I believe, Middle Eastern descent who went and he became he started supporting ISIS. He started making videos for ISIS. This was a different guy I'm thinking of, right? But there have been multiple cases of this, right? Of individuals from the States going on, joining the fighters right there. And what should our responses be, right? So now, if they've fought American soldiers, they killed our allies, right? Then yeah, I guess jail or something, right? But should stripping citizenship, should that be allowed? Should that be a thing that we do here, right? Because I'm a little iffy about doing that for the UK. Now, if you want to punish her, right? I think maybe a punishment might be in order. She was 15 at the time, but whatever, right? But at the very least, she's still a citizen, and then she can have the rights and privileges of being a British citizen, right? But they took that away from her. Now, is that fair for a person who went and joined a terrorist group? What do y'all think?
100% fair.
Absolutely.
Oh, it is fair. Okay.
If we in the United States, we pledge allegiance to the flag, right, of the United States of America. If somebody's going to be like in open rebellion against the country, they shouldn't have the right to citizenship. If you want to like go fight against your own country, or your birth country, in favor of another country, then I think you lose right to citizenship at that point. So
Yeah, what group did she?
I mean,
she
if we're
joined?
if we're speaking on that
ISIS.
specific
Oh, she
case, or
joined ISIS.
anybody
Hell yeah! I mean, that's
joined
that's
ISIS
easy
or
clap.
anything,
The
I
hell,
think
get the
the
fuck out.
problem is-
She made a mistake, and everyone screws up. I think she
even
should
that-
have her
Incredibly
citizenship
dumb.
revoked, but she should receive some kind of reprimand.
When did she
The-
leave?
the
This
thing
isn't.
is, you have
Listen,
to-
this isn't crashing her daddy's BMW like on like a joyride. This is going to join fucking ISIS. Fuck her.
Yeah, that's
she.
yeah,
shouldn't
like-
be
I
what
think
she
that,
says.
Even
that,
at
like, I
15,
don't know
joining
if it's
ISIS is bad, and you know it's
100%.
bad.
I
Like,
think it should be case by case, but like, I mean, the thing is when you join, you're like an ISIS member, and you, I mean, you have to be safe, right? Like, I mean, look, the fact of the matter is you could say I was an ISIS member at 15. Now I'm not. They could be telling you to do that, so you have, like, I mean, you just have to be safe. But like, if you're gonna join some Nazi party, anything that like is just blatantly wrong, yeah, I mean, like, exile.
I mean, she was 15. Like everyone who
But
like
but
you
who
can't
knows
blame
if she
someone who's
joined
15
it?
to
She
get like
joined it. She
sucked
joined at
into
15,
something
right?
that they don't even know what like the repercussions of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but she
Like
joined at
everyone
15,
here has
right?
done
to a
something
different
stupid when they were
country.
15.
100%, but
There's a
it's
difference.
different
Going to a
to
different
join a
country
terrorist
What's
is
cell
the
versus.
difference is she got there when she was 15, right? Prime? Is that what
No.
happened?
15.
Yes. 15 when
Okay,
he got-
when
when
you're
she left.
15,
There are
and
certain
you're not.
then
times
she
at
realized-
15,
Hold on.
16 years
She
old where you can be
realized
tried as an
all the
adult for
stuff
murder
she
and
heard
shit.
about
Yeah.
that country was wrong, and she's like, "Oh crap, I'm stuck here," and she finally has the ability to leave, and they revoke his citizenship.
Oh, yeah, but that's not true. Like
Cinnamon.
she didn't realize that it
I
was
can't
wrong.
even say citizen.
She didn't like leave because she realized it was wrong. She had like what, like 3 kids with an ISIS fighter, and then
Yeah, but
when
they
she was
raped
9,
them.
please.
Yeah, but you have to
No,
remember
wait,
that
wait,
that's
wait,
all
wait,
based
wait, wait,
on
wait,
her.
no,
Doobie,
article
whoa,
that she was 15
shut
when
up,
she
shut
joined,
whoa. Doobie.
Okay, and she left when the state collapsed, right? When ISIS collapsed, not just like because she had like a change of heart, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
she essentially went out to fight for some like an enemy, right? Like we're considering the UK and ISIS to be at war with each other, and it seems pretty clear to me that ISIS as the organization felt like they were at war with the United Kingdom, right? So she essentially declared her allegiance for the enemy, went to go fight with the enemy, live with the enemy, and now when the enemy lost, she's like, okay, I'm just gonna come back home now. Oh, sorry, it was a joke. Like, no, fuck that.
Okay, I think that's being a little like real inconsiderate of the mind of a 15-year-old girl. If a 15-year-old girl, if a 15-year-old girl was kidnapped here in the States by a man, and he took her and kidnapped her and prostituted her for 4 years, and made her have 3 children, and then he released her, would we blame her, or would we talk about this man who manipulated the mind of a 15-year-old? Like, I
Exactly.
don't know.
Was she kidnapped
She
though?
chose
Doobie,
Was she
to leave
kidnapped
her
though?
country.
Doobie, she chose to be like held as a like sex slave for 4 years.
She wasn't a sex slave.
No,
Yeah,
no,
no,
what-
she
was-
no,
she
that
was
was
made
that
to
the whole
have-
thing is that she couldn't leave, so she went
Yeah.
over there. Her and her friend went over
And the
there
only
under
reason
this
she left
mindset that
after
they
the
were
downfall
fighting.
of ISIS is because of the downfall of ISIS.
Yeah,
She couldn't
because
do
of the
so
I-
otherwise.
Because of the downfall, she was able to leave because she was no longer subjected to
But
being forced
she
into
went
this lifestyle.
there,
But the
though.
problem
She
is
went there of her own free will.
you're missing
exactly, exactly.
you're-
That's the thing.
Like,
I'm
you
not.
just
I'm
said
not
that
defending
when you're
it.
15, you make
No,
bad
she
decisions.
was
It's
19 when she.
Because
if I
15 doesn't
can-
mean you can get away with anything. Okay, that's
Exactly.
that's
wait,
bullshit.
You're
Stop.
setting a horrible. You're setting a horrible precedent. If you president, sorry, I've been drinking, but you're setting.
Precedent,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, there you go.
Precedent.
Even because then people can say, oh, I can get away with anything I want to, even if it's joining a foreign terrorist state, as long as I'm under 18. I could say, oh fuck, I made a mistake. Don't revoke my citizenship now that they've failed and I've lived out this fantasy
Yeah.
of fighting against the man. Oh, I want to come back and then get all my rights reinstated that I got for being born in this first world country. But I mean, I think it's fucked up. I think it's terrible. But at the end of the day, like, we live in a
No.
society that we have to kind of like have
No
laws that.
sympathy. I don't even care. Fuck her.
Well, I
Yeah.
think there's also like two options that you can have here. You can either have the host state, so you can have the UK, like when she comes back, she can either be charged with like however many counts of terrorism or whatever they want to try to charge her with, and stick her in jail, or they can just say, "Fuck it, you're not allowed back into this country."
Like she
And
literally
honestly, if you go to
Eli, we
somebody
just
who's
said-
that old and you tell them that, hey, you can either choose between not being able to come back to this country or you can choose to go to jail, which do you think they're going to choose?
Eagle Eye, we did just say that she can come back with repercussions. I just don't think she should.
But
have
which
her
do you think she would
citizenship
prefer?
revoked.
Well, you didn't ask her. She
Like, what
asked
do
to
you think
come
she's gonna
back.
choose the jail
She
time?
asked to
in
come
that
back.
she's freed from her captor.
Oh,
I think the former.
She literally asked to come back.
Captor.
Though.
I wouldn't really
Hold
call
on,
them captors.
Yeah.
Eagle Eye,
She
Eagle Eye. We don't have to. We don't have to speculate
Can I ask
here.
a question, Prime?
Hold on, one second.
but did they lay out the charges that she would be facing if she did come back?
She literally put a case in front of the British Supreme Court asking to come back, and then they said no. So yeah, like so.
But at that point had they charged her with anything? Would she know that she would be?
Of
like,
course,
being
huh?
charged
How
with
would she
crimes
not
if came
know?
back?
What? This is like a nonsense point.
Well, does that
How would
article?
she not know?
Well, does the
How would she
article
not
go into like
understand?
what?
Well, read the article. Read the article. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Brento.
Okay, I was just gonna ask, and I mean, it's just it might change a little perspective, right? So she ran away when she was 15. She joined ISIS, and I think I read this article, but I don't want it's sounding very similar to something. I think they hold the women in like cages. Once they're there, they treat them like sex slaves essentially, right? So she's held there with other girls and stuff too, and like it's like she had 3 of their kids. It's like she had like 3 different kids from like 3 different guys because they just treat them like that. The point is this, and this is my question. Even that being the case, right? If someone was 15 or 16 and they were male and they went to go join ISIS and fight physically, would you welcome them back and be like, "Oh, we should take this 16-year-old male ISIS fighter back"? You probably wouldn't.
That's like 19.
Yes,
19
right
now, but no.
Brent, the way they
Yes.
use it,
Yeah,
it's like totally inaccurate, right?
yeah,
So
and
but she's even said, right, that first of all she was aware of people being beheaded or whatnot, and that she was okay with it because Islamically that was okay.
Yeah,
she
right.
said that she doesn't regret it because it's made her a stronger, tougher person.
That's
that she was
okay.
that another one of the pluses was that she married her husband there, and she wouldn't have found a man like him in the UK. Right, this is not.
Is she still saying this shit? This is like this is her shit now. Oh wow, what the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, this is
What?
not.
Yeah, no,
fucking
that's
mind
the
change.
thing.
But she was 15
have,
though. But she
okay.
was 15 though.
No,
Yikes.
so no, I have a pretty strong opinion on this one. I think that she from what I've heard and from what I've seen, she didn't express any remorse about what she'd done. She didn't express any remorse about anything that she was involved in, right? And whether you want to believe it or not, like if you're joining a group like ISIS, right? There is no way that you are, and your husband is one of the fighters. There's no way that you are looking and not seeing like crimes against other Muslims being done, right? If this is so much like a thing about Muslims, right? Who's the number one victim of ISIS is other Muslims, right? So she sat there, or she stood there, and she let it happen, right? She was okay with it happening. She didn't express any remorse about going back, going to join ISIS. She I don't know why she's trying to go into the UK if she doesn't have any remorse about it, right? So even if she was 15, right? And she's what? How old is she? 19 now? It's something like that,
21.
right?
So, wait,
21.
So,
Okay, she's 21. I'm not finished. Okay.
Okay.
So if she, I'm sorry. No, I'm used to having people cut over me. So if she's 21 now. She had all of that time, right, to think about what she'd done, see all the people that maybe were victims of it, right? Even if she'd been brainwashed, maybe she would look in her scripture and see that like killing other people is not okay. Beheading other people is not okay, right? Especially other Muslims, right? And especially people who are the most vulnerable people in society, right? Maybe she would have seen that. If she still doesn't have remorse for that, and I don't care if she was 15 when she joined. She should, sure, maybe if they let her back into the country, but she should be she should be tried to the fullest extent. And if the country decides that they don't want to let her back in, then that's fine.
Good shit.
Me.
Can I just
Well, tap off in real quick.
I just want to
Real
say
quick,
really quick. I just want to say.
quick,
let me just finish really quick.
Brento, stop. Brento, then Feline.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, I just wanted to say, like, after all this context, I mean, the answer is she's just a terrorist. She's still a terrorist. She still wants to hurt the UK, and she doesn't regret any of the things she's done or the people she's killed, like, or that she's participated in. Like, this isn't even a debate anymore. She's just a terrorist, and she doesn't regret any of it.
I think there's definitely more of a debate here. You guys are missing the
watch
point of
this. Dunk this.
But go ahead, Feline.
By the way, Prime, I read that article and it doesn't mention anything about charging her.
I'm saying.
Check it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, check it. Right. So I don't know. I can't believe no one's realized this. Right. There's a certain degree of Islamophobia that's currently happening right here. Right. Y'all are making these very hyperbolic statements, like, wow, she joined ISIS, fuck her, right? And you could literally use the same argument in regards to like people who are like indoctrinated into gangs in the United States, right? Would you say that like, oh, a 15-year-old kid who's indoctrinated into a gang in the United States and he had to kill somebody because like it was like part of like the culture of that area, like, hey, fuck that guy, he made his decisions, right? Nah.
Yes, I would.
This is some like bullshit ass hyperbolic statements you're making just because. No, shut up. Just because they're ISIS, right? And because you were like giving into this like Islamic phobia ideology, right?
I mean, okay, my family is Muslim. My family is Muslim. Like, it's against Muslim scripture to like doing that kind of shit.
Everyone, shut up. Thank you, Feline. Finish your point.
Thank you. Right. So it's this idea that like she's 15 years old, right? Who she got radicalized, indoctrinated into the system, right? She revoked her British citizenship to go here to a very like impoverished area, to a war-torn nation, right? In the ideology of like, you know, like a very hyperbolic, very like radicalized ideology, right? And you just want to say fuck her? No. The whole idea, the way we deal with this, right? And the deal we fix it and the way that we approach it is de-radicalization, right? Not doing the exact thing that they think we're gonna do anyways.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in.
They deserve it.
I'm gonna jump in here. So I agree a lot with what Feline Father is saying, right? Yes, a gang isn't the same as a terrorist group. However, to the communities that they actually inflict violence on, they might as well, right? So you can have a gang in a community that inflicts violence at random, which kills people at random, which can sexually assault individuals, like we saw with ISIS, right? Which can basically run people's daily lives with fear, right? Just like they did within a terrorist group. And you can have a 15-year-old who can see all that and then decide to join for whatever reason, right? Bad idea, right? Exactly, great. But the question I was trying to ask is, if that is enough to that they should then lose their citizenship, should that actually be a punishment? Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't be punished. Absolutely, right? Like, yes, you made some bad choices. Agreed. There should be something that happens, right? Or some sort of, if you're more redemptive, then maybe that. I don't know, right? But I'm wondering if, from the list of consequences that we can impose on a human being, should that be should taking away their citizenship be part of it? And again, part of that article says is that making a citizen stateless is illegal under international law, right? So taking away someone's citizenship and then making it so that they aren't a part of any state, that is illegal. The British argued that. Please stop. The British argued that under that this woman had a chance to be a Bangladeshi citizen because of her parents, and but the Bangladesh is saying that they won't take her in, and she doesn't speak the language. She's never been there, right? So right now she is stateless. She is living in Syria. Now, if you're asking me if I have some massive sympathy for her, not really, actually. My problem is that, like, do we want to set this precedence, right? Where we can toss people out? Would that have happened, for instance, for a white individual who was born in?
Oh, yes, it totally would have.
Okay, can I say something really quick?
Go ahead, please.
It already did. It should have.
It should have.
Oh, what? Shut up.
I want to reply to Feline because I resent the idea of Islamophobia, right? My family is Muslim. I grew up Muslim, and I have worked very hard. I dealt with Islamophobia growing up, post 9/11. So I dealt like I dealt with that a lot. So it's not coming from a place of Islamophobia. It's coming from a place of somebody who betrayed their country, betrayed the most vulnerable people in society, betrayed other women and children, right? And still feels no remorse for it, right? I'm not saying that like that we don't de-radicalize a person after that, right? But what I would say is, and I am not aware of all of these international laws, right? If it's illegal for them to do that, then sure, fine, let her back in. But she should be tried as hard as possible. She should be tried as hard as possible, and I would hope that she is in prison for like the rest of her life.
Okay, great. So
that law is bullshit. Legality does not mean morality.
We will have order.
Fuck
Here,
that law.
shut up. So go to Tiffany. Then who else? Raise your hand if you want to go. Azzy? Okay.
Strawberry.
And then Thomas, I'm hearing my voice back, so someone fucking mute themselves. Tiffany, Strawberry. Okay. Tiffany, Strawberry, Azzy, and then the guy with C name something, I don't know. And then also you, Glaucosaurus. All right.
I had my hand up too. I hate you, Prime.
Tiffany, please.
Thanks, Prime. I just wanted some context from you and both Brento. I almost said Bento Box. Sorry, I'm thinking of the.
Fine.
You said that she had kids with 3 different men.
I might have been wrong about that. I apologize.
Oh,
I shouldn't.
yeah,
I shouldn't say things like that if I don't have 100%
but
authority.
I don't see that anywhere here. Is this
okay? I read an article. Literally, I did read about this. I'm sure. And it was a while ago though, so I should be less loose with facts that I think I read.
Yeah. Well, you should post the article in chat so I can see it.
Oh, it was a while ago because this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, please post me a legitimate article.
Anyways, I'll look for New York Times. Thanks.
Okay. As even if she, like I said earlier, when you're 15 years old, you make mistakes, and even if she was still fine with the beheadings and all the awfulness of what happened while she was down in the Middle East, I feel like she should still be tried. She shouldn't have her citizenship revoked immediately, but after, if they want to rescind it after after going through court, then maybe. But she should still have a trial prior to that. She shouldn't just have her citizenship revoked immediately.
It wasn't immediate. She went through a trial. Supreme Court.
She?
Yeah.
She lost?
Look at the article that
She went to a criminal trial?
Look at the oh my god. I'm not gonna repeat the look at the article.
Irish?
Oh shit. Holy fuck. I don't care. It's in the BC chat. Moving on.
Okay, sorry.
So Strawberry, let's go.
Question though. I just want to. It's quick. Was she convicted of crimes, or she went to trial to be kicked out of the country?
Look at the article. I'm not going to be repeating myself. I don't care anymore. Strawberry, go ahead.
I'm not in your chat.
VC chat. I also said I put it in VC chat. It's there. Please take a look. Strawberry.
Yes. Yeah. I had to go back, but we can't. She had 3 kids between the ages of 15 and 19. So that means you have this 15-year-old girl there. They're already having sex with her, always doing all kinds of things with her at the age of she's 15. Like, you don't understand like the manipulation that goes into getting someone who's 15-year-old. That's why we don't let 15-year-olds enter in the contract. So that's why we don't let them do all these adult things, because we understand they don't fully know or understand the repercussions of their decisions. And we look at all the situations of when we see kids manipulated. We see that Chris Hansen, where a guy talks to a girl, a 15-year-old girl online, and convinces her of her own free will to come to his house. Did she know what she was doing? Did she know what she was getting herself into? No, but people can be manipulated. And I think I can't remember what his name was, but it sounds like, Islamophobia, that we're taking away the fact that she was 15 years old, just because it was a 15-year-old choosing to go to Islam. And support ISIS versus a 15-year-old doing
Strawberry. She's
she literally went against she literally went against Islamic, all Islamic beliefs. They kill Muslims so much over there.
She's into it. She's not sorry. She is proud of it. She wants to keep doing it, and she would if she could. That's the point.
What I'm saying is, you have to understand the conditioning that goes into that once you get into that. Like when someone introduces that to you at such a young age, you can learn those things and be taught that those things are actually right.
At some point, there's got to be some kind of cutoff. You cannot like just say just because you're 15, you can do literally anything and get away with it. Literally, I don't care if you're 15. You know, joining a fucking terrorist organization is bad. Point blank. Period. Anybody who says otherwise is just bad faith. Unironically, okay.
Is Catholicism bad?
It is as a terrorist organization.
Is Catholicism a terrorist organization?
I mean, they hurt a lot of people's lives. I would say they are responsible for a lot of systemic
the
problems.
Catholic Church's message isn't to like take over countries.
We're
and
talking about ISIS.
It isn't
now. Like a well-known terrorist.
Wait, okay,
it's Islamic State. It's called Islamic State.
ISIS is a different topic. We're talking specifically. Okay, if you want to talk about ISIS, I feel like that's a completely different topic from this topic, right? We're talking about somebody who went and joined ISIS, right? We're not talking about ISIS itself and the ideology behind it, right? But I can say,
sorry, Feline Father, mute yourself. We got an echo from you. Go ahead, please continue us.
I can say that pretty much like anything that she could have engaged in over there, I don't know how they would have justified it, but I don't think bringing up the Catholic Church and bringing up ISIS ideology is useful.
Let's go to Azzy, Claris. Let's go to Azzy, Claris, and then Glock, please. Thank you.
All right, I'm just making sure my mic is all right. You guys can hear me good?
It's not great, but it's good enough. Go ahead.
It's not great? Okay, that's good enough for me. Well, I agree with Stardust for the most part. This is not Islamophobia. We can say that what they're doing, the UK might be. I don't think it's Islamophobia. It's more or less like they treat white citizens better than their darker citizens. But at the same time, there's a guy named Jack Letitz, or he's also he was a white Islamic State member who extradited from the UK to join ISIS, and then he had his citizenship revoked. So this isn't the first time the UK has stripped citizenship.
And it shouldn't be the last.
A white guy. So
I'm not.
The only reason we're not talking about him is because he had dual citizenship and he could go live in Canada. But it's just for this person in like. Because this story was big even back in the day when she first left. Like we were talking about this when she first left. Like 15-year-old girl left the UK to go join ISIS. Like I remember this story, and everybody at that time was outraged, and it made the UK look terrible. So if you leave one, and I'm not a UK citizen, I don't know what they do over there, but if they're in the habit of doing this and they are a sovereign nation and you go against your own sovereign nation, like even I think in the article they talk about US citizens who left to join ISIS and then they try to come back, and then they didn't have their citizenship revoked, but you're going against your own sovereign nation to join a literal global terrorist organization that is actually killing Muslims, and saying that they are like the perfect Muslims. All other Muslims are wrong. We can do whatever we want. I just don't feel like it's bad faith to say that she had a lapse in judgment. No, she didn't have a lapse in judgment. She agreed with what ISIS was doing at 15
and still does.
And hold on. And there's no definitive proof. She didn't go through any type of rehab or training like Amy Cooper, who called the cops on the black guy, and she didn't go through anything to say that. Now she's healed. She's recuperated. She can go back to UK. Hey. No, I'm just making a comparison. Just
look. I'm not saying
let him finish. Let him finish.
I'm not. What I'm saying.
What I'm saying, like
everybody.
Let him finish.
Everyone, shut up. Shut. Azzy, finish it. Shut up. Azzy, finish your point. And then we're gonna go to Claris, Glock, and Doobie. All right.
So what I'm what I'm basically saying is she has not gone through any type of psychotherapy to say that, okay, now she's healed, she's recuperated, we can introduce her back into the UK society. She hasn't done any of that. And from what I'm hearing, she's unapologetic about it as a full-fledged adult. Why should I let you back? We have set the precedent that we will take away your citizenship. What makes you think we're gonna let you come back? I'm sorry, you're stateless now. That's the boo-boo that you get for joining the terrorist organization. I'm sorry. What are we doing? Come on now.
Okay. So my problem here is with this like bringing in the ideology. Now, I am not a fan of ISIS, but I'll say up front because I'm sure people will misinterpret the words I'm going to say. And Tiffany, I see your hand. I'm not a fan of ISIS, not one bit, not at all. Okay, but I'm not sure what that matters with when it comes to this question. The point is that look. Anyone can be, and people can be indoctrinated to bad ideologies, right? People become neo-Nazis, right? People become skinheads, right? Like we see young kids fall into these terrible ideologies all the time. It happens all the time, right? So you guys are making a special, it sounds like to me, what you guys are making is a special argument. Like for this case, this case is so bad, right? This case, because she went and joined this group, that one is beyond the pale, right? And then she could be subjected to this specific punishment. Now, am I saying she shouldn't be punished? I'm not saying that at all, right? If you're saying I haven't heard that she's like unapologetic for what she did. I haven't heard that. I haven't seen it, but I'll believe you, Stardust. I'm not saying that you're lying or anything, but I'll believe you there. So okay, great. Then great. There's a jail cell waiting for her, or something, right? Or whatever the punishment's going to be. We can do that. But to take away her citizenship, that's the problem. That's the problem I want to tackle here, right? Like if she had joined any other toxic ideology, right? A more domestically based toxicology that can still kill people, that can still murder, that can still rape, that can still maim, that can still destroy lives. If she had joined any of those other ones, right, this wouldn't be on the table. I don't think, right? Yes. So if that's the case, why are we making a special exception for a terrorist organization?
Because one's domestic
I haven't talked.
and one's
I haven't talked in forever.
Gambit,
Wait, really quick. I'm about to leave. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna let Samantha in here in my place because I don't have as much to say as she does, and I'm also too drunk and high and hungry for all this bullshit. So I appreciate all y'all. Y'all are all fucking great.
Hey, university, that's based.
Oh, what's up, Tiffany? Oh,
yeah,
shit.
I appreciate that because I love Samantha, and you're pretty cool saying, listen, I'm acknowledging I'm drunk and high, so I gotta bail that you're fucking
this is my one day I get to enjoy to myself, and like I love y'all and all this, but I really don't have.
No, I get it. Like
add to this
I work really hot hours, and I have like issues with my.
I have to be up early. I think Samantha will have a lot more to add to this, and Prime, I appreciate you having me on here.
Sure.
Always appreciate it. I love all of y'all. I'm not even gonna say anything about Casino. Like I don't agree with what he said. I muted him. I'll probably unmute him at some point. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Like,
reconciliation, bro.
This guy really does not like me.
Yeah.
Hey, Prime, I can go.
Love all y'all. Chat.
No, Gambit.
So
I haven't talked.
We got a few other people who haven't talked at all either. Gambit, you're on the list. I promise you're on the list. All right. But see you, University. Thank you so much. I'll let in Samantha next. But anyway, so the next person down on the list is Clarice. Clarice, please.
Yeah. So I'll say, generally speaking, when these types of things get decided, frame of mind plays a huge role in terms of determining culpability and basically figuring out whether or not somebody should be punished in a way like this, of basically having their citizenship be revoked. I can tell you that I've seen pictures of her when she's leaving and basically heading to Syria, and when she's coming back. When she's coming back, she's full covered. She looks like she's been not just indoctrinated, but she's gotten more extreme over time. And honestly, in her interview, I watched her interview. She wasn't teary-eyed. She wasn't really upset. She just seemed more like she was upset that she was being actually had some level of accountability from the Supreme Court of the UK.
Pull mask off.
And not only that,
Losing citizenship doesn't mean that she can't live. It just means that she doesn't have the comforts of the Western world. She can't travel freely across the world, which is generally something that you don't want terrorists to be doing anyway.
Okay, so I'll ask you.
Well, like I said, she looked extreme.
I have more.
Wait, I think he's not finished.
Okay.
I think he's not finished.
Samantha, you're on the list. Don't worry. All right, go ahead.
Shit.
Also, and if we're not going to be able to hold anybody or hold basically what Islamists shouldn't be feared or hated if it isn't a fucking ISIS member. So calling somebody Islamophobic for hating ISIS or being upset with somebody that actually went and joined ISIS, I don't understand what kind of head injury you have to have in order to have that fucking stance. That is an absolute
shit, man.
that's
what
the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. You can rehabilitate people, fine, but people have to have a desire to be rehabilitated. Okay.
Okay,
so you just said she looked extreme because she came in a burqa.
So
here's some racist ass shit, bro.
No, dude,
How is that
racist? What did you just say?
Fucking God.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
He's trolling.
You know,
he's trolling. Stop. He's trolling.
Yeah. My problem with Clearest is not that like what I don't. Okay. What I'm saying here is that I don't see how her remorse has anything to do with anything, right? There are plenty of unremorseful criminals, right, within our system, right, that have done it. We know they did it, right? We got them red-handed, and they're like, no, not even that they're denying they did it. They're saying that they did it, and they don't give a shit, right? That's the thing that happens. But taking away their citizenship is not on the table. So why are we making a special exception for this one? That's my question.
I just said it
Don't
before.
worry, Gabby, you will get to. We got a long list.
You asked the question. I
will ask it again to you when it's your turn. So, all right.
I think well, I'm sorry. You asked the question. Why is it a good solution? I think because that keeps people from being recognized as a citizen of the UK and being able to travel freely across the world. Which typically, if you are closely tied in with a terrorist organization,
we can put them in jail. We can put them in jail. Like we do anything else.
How are you going to put them in jail if you
in jail?
Yeah, we can put them in jail. Okay. She wants to come back, so we can put her in jail.
Yeah.
How do you know that okay, hold on. How do you know she wants to come back? If you reinstate her passport, if you were to reinstate her passport, how do you know she's not just going to go to another country where she can just escape,
before you reinstate her passport, she can be on British territory. Simple.
It doesn't matter.
Why even
hold on,
spend the money
please
to bring
hold
her
on,
back?
Casino, please don't interrupt. She can be on British territory before you do that, and then put her in jail. And because you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the Guantanamo Bay discussion, right? This reminds me exactly of that, right? That she's some sort of super criminal, right? She's just a lady, right? Who gave birth to some kids, and apparently a few of them have died.
Just a lady.
Holy shit! Holy fuck! Interrupt me again! No, fucking shut up! Next person interrupt me again, I'm throwing them right the fuck off the panel. Do it. Test me. Test me right the fuck now. Don't fucking interrupt me. Fuck's sakes. Anyway, this reminds me of the Guantanamo Bay incident, right? In which, all right, so Glackosaurus, mute yourself. Mute yourself.
Sorry.
Yes, thank you. This reminds me of Guantanamo Bay, right? When we were discussing putting them on American soil, right? Rather than taking them out of the legal limbo, like putting them on American soil, so you just put them within a prison, a supermax prison, if that's what you want, right? This is the exact same argument that was used against people. It's like, oh, these super terrorists are going to break out and, I don't know, come after your daughters, right? She's a woman, right, who did something terrible, absolutely, right? And we can punish her like any other person. Like any other person, we can put her in jail. Why are we making a special exception? I'll let you answer that and then we'll move on.
Okay, so I'll say the Guantanamo Bay situation is very different with very different legal challenges. Those people were brought over and it basically, and you're right, in basically a military function, not a judicial function, so that basically they could just be held in a place where they could be controlled, right? And not just being taken out of their country, but being put into a place that's not really, it is technically American territory, but it's not really a place that they can just travel freely anywhere else. They're being held as a prisoner there, and it just in an extrajudicial way, so that they can't go anywhere. It's not like
she's in a refugee camp.
What's that?
Oh, you're talking about Guantanamo Bay. Excuse me.
Guantanamo Bay.
Excuse me.
She's allowed to travel through Syria, as far as I know. And honestly, I think Assyria may even have at some point some kind of trials like they had in The Hague after the Nazis fell, and she may be actually need to be accountable for the crimes that she committed while she was there. They may want to prosecute her. That may be something that happens eventually, and if we were to just let her come back, then guess what? She escapes all accountability from the Syrian government there.
All right.
We don't know what that she got into when she was there. We don't know what her intentions are when she travels, because she doesn't have any kind of broadcasting of her intention. She just doesn't really seem to really give a shit, other than that she wants to be able to travel.
Okay, Glock.
I mean, my original hand up was back when Feline was trying to construe being in a gang versus joining ISIS and how they were the same. And I was just going to say that, I mean, it's just not true. Normal gang members don't want to take over an entire country and install themselves as a political power. Things like that. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. There's nothing Islamophobic about that at all. But I guess just to push back on this whole idea is that, I mean, in my own personal views, it has nothing to do with Islamophobia. It has everything to do with the nature of the crime, right? So you can commit murder, rape, fucking whatever else, but the whole thing is ISIS is committing those things in a political means for a political end, to take over a country, to form this ideology to like take over a region. They're not doing it just because they're trying to fucking kill someone or just rape someone. They have a political means at the end to take over for some sort of political ideology of an area. And so again, joining an organization to push that versus just committing murder or rape, they're two totally different things. They're the same crime, yes, but the end is completely, like, the ends that they're trying to reach are completely different. But
I know she was the whole entirety of ISIS.
Thank you for that. So we're going to go Doobie, Gambit, Tiff, Samantha. Doobie, please.
So I think something that we need to keep in mind is that this isn't like a unique situation. I think that the unique thing is that if there is a unique thing, it would be that she was young when she left, right? But the UK, Australia, fucking Tajikistan, right? Many of these governments, in response to people leaving their countries to go fight for ISIS or other terrorist groups, and then returning home with training, right? And then some of these people have enacted like some of the worst terrorist attacks in their home countries, right? They've been enacting laws to strip their citizenship because they don't want them back, right? Most of these have been limited to people with dual citizenship. I think someone said earlier that she had the potential to get that citizenship in Bangladesh, and they didn't want her either. But I think it's fine. And Prime, you brought up Guantanamo Bay, and it's true that a lot of the people that are there are stateless, right? Because nobody fucking wants them, right? So it's a massive problem. Like, what do you do with these people? But given that she's in Syria is apparently okay with her being there, right? And the UK has clear laws set out. Hey, if you've gone over to support some enemy of the UK, right, we're going to revoke your citizenship. And it seems pretty clear that that's what she's done, and that she does not feel any kind of a remorse for doing so, right? Then if like we said earlier, fuck her, right? At some point, all right, she's an adult now. She's still expressing no regret. In fact, she said that she's happy she did it because it made her a stronger person. And she met her husband, and she wouldn't have met a man like him in the UK, right? Like, I think, given all these things, if the UK does not want a person in their country that still today thinks that it's okay to behead people for acting against her version of Islam, right? Then that's totally within their right. Like, why would they want her back?
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. Let's go to Gambit, Tiff, Samantha. Gambit, please.
Sorry, I muted myself because I was typing earlier. Yeah, this is another thing that's almost the exact same of earlier. The idea that we should and I think Prime, what you said is true. I don't think there's precedence outside of attaining your citizenship illegally for a country denouncing your citizenship, and that's the only country that you're a part of. I don't think there's a precedence for that. So the idea that we would cede this ground to people is absolutely insane to me. There are Nazis, like Prime said, and skinheads, and there's all of these white radicals. You don't hear countries talking about taking their citizenship. and it's because of the same power dynamics that I said earlier. And a lot of people just don't understand how many domains this applies in. Like, I don't care what she did, prosecute her for her crimes, and if there's no crimes to prosecute her for, then like the case is that, hey, she was a part of an organization that we all think is abhorrent. But the idea that you can like literally like denounce her citizenship is okay is the silliest thing of all time. Like, it's literally
there's a difference between domestic versus like terrorist, like joining a terrorist group that's trying to like destroy your own
no,
country.
there's not.
Right?
No, there's not. If somebody
so there's
commits,
no difference between a gang and
I don't
ISIS.
care how loud you get, you're still an asshat. If there's no crime to prosecute her,
Answer his question. Is there a difference between a gang
there's
and
no
ISIS?
difference between a gang and ISIS then. All right, there we go. Fine.
Yes, there's a difference between like
Oh, okay. So
international
then shut up,
terror.
please. Then
No,
stop
but that
talking
doesn't
because
mean
you're dumb.
no.
Oh my God.
No, you're literally so stupid. Just because there's a difference between gangs and terrorist groups doesn't mean that so you can just throw away their citizenship. This is the hill that you jump to, like it's the mountain
that's
you jump
perfectly
to.
fine.
It's
You know
dumb.
what? It's not even far enough.
Everything you
Actually,
say
that's
is dumb.
nothing. That's just slap on the wrist. Honestly,
I'm pretty sure you can. I'm
your
pretty sure you
citizenship?
can
Are
say
kidding
dumber
me?
shit. I'm pretty sure you can say
Alright.
dumber stuff. But if there's no crimes to prosecute her for, then
All
there
they
should
did
never.
was take
Her
away
citizenship
Like,
shouldn't
that's
be.
not even-
That's not even in it. Yeah, some people are so dumb. It's Prime is so hard to do the open panels, man. This is like when I only come for the closed panels, it's because like I trust me. I love what you do in this space. You understand how I feel about free speech, so I understand that people like this have to be allowed. But it's so hard to have a real conversation
right?
when there's
You
like
think-
idiots like
okay,
this.
Casino,
that are
stop
here.
interrupting. Go ahead.
Yeah, like it's really hard to have real conversations when they're like, because it's open, and it should be. I love that it's open. That's how I came in, right?
Yeah.
But because like we have to engage with people that have no brain cells, and that's why they have no camera. Like like and Doobie, like I understand your situation. Doobie is
We can
different.
talk about
But,
this
yeah.
off stream, okay?
No, I don't think we have to. I don't think we.
All right,
should
so
have
let's
an off-
we'll
Dip
move
out.
on. Thank you. So we'll
GSU,
move on.
just stick around for me.
So we have Tiff, and then we have Samantha. All right.
I hate to say it, but I kind of agree with Doobie, and I know that a lot of people think he's cringe, but I agree with some of the shit he said. After reading the article that you sent me, Prime, she clearly was non-apologetic. She literally said, "I'm not the same little 15-year-old girl who ran from Bethnal Green." Wait, yeah, Bethnal Green 4 years ago. I can pronounce shit. Trust me. But then immediately she said, "I don't regret coming here," which kind of is contradictory. So it's not apologetic. So even after those 4 years, she's still like, I don't know if they manipulated her further while she was living there, but she clearly still has some kind of affinity towards the Middle East.
So Tiff, question: you think that
Oh, I wasn't done.
criminals?
Can I finish, please?
Oh yeah, I thought you were done because of the pause. My bad. No, go ahead.
No, don't worry. You can ask a question after. I agree. It just seems like she's seeking safety due to the fact that she was pregnant with child, and despite that, I don't think her citizenship should be revoked. I think she should be imprisoned and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. You did say that she already went through that, so her citizenship is already revoked, but I disagree with that. I think she should be imprisoned for a long time, but I don't think she should have been treated as harshly as she was.
Okay. Let's go to Feline Father. We'll get you in after Samantha.
Okay, so here's gonna be some fucking hot takes here. One, I'm gonna put this out real quick. Clarice Gitmo being military, not judicial. Well, we have to remember that ISIS isn't a state with judicial rules. And over there, she joined a group of enemy combatants to her country and a bunch of other allied countries. So therefore, like the whole judicial bullshit, just fuck that. She's under military law now. So Gitmo is totally a possibility if Americans wanted to take charge of that situation. That's totally on the fucking table. Sad as fucking fact. and then like because she left her own country, okay, to go join an organization that was in the process of trying to take over multiple countries to become part of their caliphate, right?
Caliphate.
I'm stupid.
I'm sorry.
Words aren't my
caliphate,
thing.
but that's okay.
I just shoot people and do things like I have no real qualifications in life.
Please go ahead.
So like she was trying to go join an organization that was trying to make like a fucking theocracy out of multiple countries, out of their skewed version of a religion. Now here's another thing that's gonna fucking rile people up. Like she didn't have remorse. She didn't have any regrets. I have more sympathy. And if anybody heard how much I hate this motherfucker, I have more sympathy for fucking Bergdahl than I do for this bitch. Like Bergdahl at least had some fucking remorse, crying, fucking scared. They beat his ass. They tortured him.
Probably fucked him.
You know what? I'm okay with that too. But like I have more remorse for him, or I have more like sympathy for him because he had a change of heart. He was scared. Like they fucked him up. He realized he fucked up. He made a stupid decision because he was young, had some misconceptions, and he fucking paid the price for it. She didn't have no remorse. So like, yeah, if her country doesn't want to fucking take her back, well, that's because she tried to join a fucking caliphate that was in the process of taking over other people. And I'm not going to sympathize with some person who wanted to go like run off because she was mad at mommy and daddy and go fuck around with some ISIS people who wants to throw people like me off of a fucking building.
So
she can get fucked.
So
again,
Samantha. So this is the break in the conversation. This is the separation that we're having here, right? So people keep bringing up this remorse aspect, right? Great, sure.
Yes.
But does that matter in what the law should? So should the law be that like if a person is not remorseful, that they get more punishment, or that we change the type of punishments that are allowed, right? That we use an additional type of punishment that we wouldn't use in another situation.
Now, I would say that for like normal judiciary crimes, right? Stuff on this. This is different. This is like she was actively involved with enemies of multiple countries. She was actively involved in not like some. It's not like she went and fucking stole some candy bars or stole a car or stabbed somebody on the block for money.
Yeah,
she joined a terrorist organization that was a militant organization currently fighting multiple countries with God knows how many allied NATO forces fighting them.
Was the KKK a terrorist organization? Is the KKK a terrorist?
Fuck. No, they should be held accountable. And I'm not even going to go into that one on stream.
Are they a terrorist organization?
Yes.
Okay,
in my
great.
opinion, yes.
So should we be taking away citizenship from
exactly?
Yes.
Okay.
We can put. Hey. I'll say this on here. Hey, KKK, fucking Gitmo, neo-Nazi skinhead bullshit. Fucking Gitmo. You want to fucking run around? I don't give a fuck. You want to run around with your fucking QAnon shit and try to fucking cause an insurrection in the Capitol? Gitmo.
Okay.
I will make another Gitmo. I will put my tax dollars to work
now
and build more fucking dog cages.
Well, couldn't we also make the case that like ISIS is like an international terrorist organization that's actively trying to like destroy the United States?
So
whereas
white supremacists are trying to take over, right? So we know white supremacists are trying to make their own like white was it the
ethno-state.
Ethno-state. Thank you so much. Yes, the white ethno-state. So they're undermining the country from within, right? So whatever, right?
Yeah.
All right, then fuck it, get more. I'm with
okay.
Samantha.
So if you're I just want to be. I'm looking for consistency here, and I'm trying to dissect this, right? To make sure that we're actually being consistent, that we're not making a special case for one special crime, right? But if you guys believe that, then that's one thing. Would you want to say something, Gambit? Then we'll go to
but this is the problem, and it's the same problem with earlier. We know that white people aren't going to make rules that say we're going to throw white people out of the United States because of their radicalization with these type of groups. Like that's not going to happen.
That's the United States. You got to remember that the UK back in the day, UK back in the day threw a bunch of people on boats and sent them to a fucking island in the middle of nowhere. Like we can bring this shit back. I don't mind sending fucking people to Australia. Nobody cares.
That's what I said. They do this all the time.
Yeah, this is nothing new. Hell, they sent half the fucking natives they sent a bunch of the natives from this entire country over to the fucking little islands to go fucking die if they weren't killed off and raped here. Like, white people have no problem with this shit.
Stream queen.
Wait, hold on, wait. You're talking about white people sending natives. I'm talking about white supremacists being thrown out of the United States. I don't think there's a precedent.
People have thrown other white people out of shit.
Wait, hold on. But the UK did send other white people to like
I
penal
just
colonies.
brought up a whole example.
Yeah, they made a whole
the
new
guy who
country.
joined ISIS.
Yeah, they made a country
white,
like that.
and got
Country.
lost his citizenship.
Wait,
I brought
hold
up
on.
an
Yeah.
example.
No. Hold on. Wait.
Gambit.
Wait, let me
There's
ask
a misconception.
No, a lot of y'all are
let's find out how that's different.
Yeah, a lot of y'all are talking. I just want y'all to answer this one question. What white person has been thrown out of a white majority country because of white extremism? That's the question that I'm asking you. That I don't think exists. If it does, please let me know.
To be fair,
I don't think
a lot of
Nazis
them
fled
probably should
Germany.
be.
They don't throw them out of the country.
Wait,
they just throw them
They're
in jail.
not thrown out. But
Wait, yeah,
they fled
Gambit.
Germany.
Gambit,
Timothy
please,
McVeigh was
Gambit.
executed.
There's a oh god. So there's two issues, right? So first, I just want to be clear, right? This isn't something that white countries are doing to like non-white people with dual citizenship. That there are countries in the Middle East that are also revoking citizenship to their citizens who went to join like ISIS and shit. That they just don't want these people, right? It's nothing to do with this. I don't think there's any like racial thing here. It's just people not wanting to deal with crazy ass fucking terrorists. Secondly,
Yeah. So what white country doesn't want to do?
Please,
I'm just asking you a simple
I'm going to
question.
answer. I'm going to answer that. I'm going to get into
please
that.
do. Okay.
So I think that there's a difference, right? And I think this is what people are trying to get into early with the gang thing, right? So if you're a white nationalist organization, you're the KKK, right, in the U.S., and you're printing your stupid pamphlets and burning fucking 2x4s in your backyard or whatever, most people aren't going to give a fuck. But if the KKK started like actively organizing to attack government buildings and shit, I don't think you'll find anyone here that'll say, "Oh yeah, no, we got to treat these people." So no, they'll say, "Hey, throw them in fucking prison, kill them because they're like revolting against the government, and now they're like domestic terrorists and shit." Yeah, if you're part of that group, fuck you.
Wait, you don't think there's a history of the KKK?
You die. You go on a cage or you die.
No, wait. You don't think there's a history of the KKK being domestic terrorists? You don't think that is the rich history of the KKK?
Can I?
Okay.
Oh my god!
Before like this gets like fully like derailed.
Yeah.
No, this is not derailing. This is showing. This is the same pattern of behavior from y'all. Y'all will cede power. Y'all will cede.
Didn't we just say that we would be okay with like those guys being like classified as a terrorist organization and shipping them off to Gitmo for it?
No. Listen. I don't care what you say. You're gonna be okay with. Or do we think that white majority countries are gonna prosecute white extremists in this way? You can say you're gonna be okay with anything. That's the same bullshit that people say.
It's not even part of this conversation.
It's absolutely a part of this conversation. It's a question that Prime asks.
It's a non sequitur.
Hold on.
We get it, Gambit. White people bad. We get it, dude.
1 second. Hey, Ego, chill. Hold on. Gambit. Okay, first off, I want to say thank you for your service, and I love you. Like, second off, second off, Feline, thank you for your service.
Hey, fuck me, right?
Yeah. Anyway, but I want to make a distinction, right? Okay. Like we're gonna sit here and say like they are the same thing. You and I believe the KKK and like is a terrorist organization, right? We know there's a history of that, and we can see beyond like some bullshit fucking thing they want to say with whatever fucking excuses they got or whatever fucking excuses people want to make for them. Okay. However, like in this case of this girl, right? You know, we have examples of, you know, extremist groups being prosecuted in America. And I can take this to another extreme example where it's like, you want to say take away citizenship. Well, look what happens when you become a felon in the United States. A lot of your rights as a citizen are taken from you, right?
I said
so
that.
Like we can go down a weird path. We can fucking I can dig you 9 fucking rabbit holes if you want to about this bullshit. But there is a difference between the KKK, who is a problem within the United States, and ISIS, who is literally trying to fight God knows how many countries at once and create their crazy theocracy shit. I mean, I was boots on the ground in Afghanistan, boots on the ground in Iraq, boots on the ground in Iran, boots on the ground in fucking Syria, and some parts of fucking Somalia, because that place is fucking sucks. But like, there's a big difference between racial extremism here and it happening just in one country, and then literally people trying to fucking take over entire countries, erase history by fucking all their shit up. If you look at like Raqqa and everything they did in Iraq, right? There's a big difference.
Yes.
Can I add some context also real quick?
No, because Feline's been waiting patiently. Feline, please.
Yeah.
Good.
Hell yeah. Okay, so like I feel like I have to clarify a point here, right? I'm not saying that the British government is not well within the rights to prosecutor. They absolutely are, right? I came in here like guns a-blazing because of like the rhetoric that was coming from y'all in regards to like ISIS and like, oh, like you guys were like coming at her. You're saying, oh, she's part of ISIS, fuck her, right? You guys are saying like, oh, she's part of ISIS, throw the book at her, fuck her. Like she obviously doesn't give a shit, fuck her, right? Whoever, she's 15 years old, whoever, she made her decisions, right? It was like a very like hyperbolic, like slope y'all were going against this, right? Now, like, I think there's a certain degree of like de-radicalization that needs to happen, right? Because that's the only way we can deal with these kinds of ideologies, right? Like just throwing the fucking book at them, that's not the way to do it, right? Now, if she had committed any crimes, right? If she had committed any crimes like any other countries, yes, she should be persecuted in that country's law, right? Like in regards to like what she did against them, right? But if her only crime, like literally her only crime was that she joined ISIS, like gave birth to 3 kids, right? And they all died and she was supposed to come back, I don't think that's good enough to like hold her, you know, citizenship away, right? If she didn't commit any crimes, like the only thing was like she like indoctrinated herself into a very radical ideology.
Can I please add some context to this? Can I clear up this ambiguity? Can I clear up this ambiguity?
All of a sudden came out of nowhere. God, shut up. All right. So like, and I realize you probably linked some things in Discord, like saying she did like some like crimes or whatever, but like none of y'all knew that.
And you don't care about that. You don't care about that,
bro. I'm still not done talking. Holy shit.
Yeah, let him go.
Like finish what I'm saying here, bro. Thanks, appreciate it. Anyways, right. That's like the whole thing with it, right? Like if she committed a crime, yes, take her to court, right? Get her ass, right? If she didn't commit a crime, her only crime was like joining ISIS, right, and giving like, you know, being part of it. I don't think it's worth it, right? I don't think like taking away her like citizenship is worth it. Is she like deregularized? Yes, right. And I also want to make a point I also want to make like a really good point to like what Stardust said. She was saying earlier like that just because she's part of like a group, she can't be racist towards said group, or like she can't like progress and push forward a very like prejudicial view of a group. That's bullshit, right? I don't think it's like fair to actually hide behind like your like identity and like within that group and to say that like you can't do it because you're part of a said group.
No,
right?
as somebody who experienced Islamophobia firsthand, right? Yeah. I experienced it firsthand post 9/11. Right. I was in the DC area, right? This is not Islamophobia. Somebody joined ISIS, a terrorist organization. All right. This is literally like somebody like she joined, she had no remorse, right? She watched people get beheaded, right? Yeah. She has showed no remorse since then, right?
Yeah,
so
but
no, I will not.
No. That's not the context which you were framing earlier.
And you know, like, fuck, dude, you were such a virtue signaler. Like, that is so such a bullshit thing. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah, you basically said it's hyperbolic to say fuck ISIS. You're virtue signaling hard as fuck right now.
Okay, hold on. There's a difference. Hold on. There's a difference. So, like, I think where Feline is coming from is like what I was saying, where you had some people that ran off and joined a terrorist organization, realized they fucked up and made a bad decision, had remorse, had a change of heart, really wanted to fucking get out of there. And then you have people that go join and be like, no, I'm cool with this. Like, I can do this until they get fucking shut down. And then have no remorse and only get out when it's shut down. Like, there is a difference between people that make a mistake, learn from it, and then fucking move the fuck on. As much as I hate it, fucking Bergdahl. But then you have other people that just don't give a shit. And like, if it was still in power, they'd still be there.
And I'm not saying don't prosecute her, right? I'm not saying don't like push criminal charges against her, right? What I'm saying is that doesn't mean you get to throw the fucking book at her just because she's part of ISIS.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we please stop? Can we please stop? Can we please stop characterizing her as just being part of ISIS? Can I please read this from the fucking article? Daily Telegraph
reported. I'd like to hear what Clear says.
Daily Telegraph reported that Begum was an enforcer of ISIS's morality police. Tried to recruit other young women to the jihadist group. She was allowed to carry an AK-47 and earned a reputation as a strict enforcer of ISIS's laws, such as dress codes for women. Anti-ISIS activists told the Independent that there are separate allegations that she was sewing bombs into suicide bombers' clothing so that they couldn't take off their clothes without the bomb exploding. On February 24th, her father, Ahmed Ali, said that if she at least admitted she made a mistake, I would feel sorry for her and other people would feel sorry for her, but she does not accept her wrong. Begum reacted by stating that she regretted speaking to the media. That's the regret that she expressed.
Okay, and you're defending this girl still somehow, like you're.
He's attacking us. He's attacking us for not putting this information forward earlier.
Language that y'all are using.
No,
I will not be called Islamophobic. I will not be called Islamophobic when I am somebody who has dealt with it firsthand. I watched my family go through it.
piece of shit.
Yeah, that's what. Okay, so anyways, I watched my family go through it. I went through it, right? This is not Islamophobic to say that somebody who continues to show no remorse, who has taken part in the oppression of vulnerable people, and who has watched people die and get oppressed by other people, that is not Islamophobic. The number one, you know who the number one victims of ISIS are, right? Other
I'm very
Muslims.
aware. Yes, I know you
It's
said it like
other
one
Muslims.
times
Yeah,
already.
yeah. So yeah,
Right?
no,
But
it's
you're
not
not listening to a word I'm
Islamophobic.
just fucking saying right now. You have zero idea what I'm saying
You
right
are
now.
such a fucking you are so bad faith, dude. You are literally so bad faith.
I'm gonna try to be. I'm gonna try to be good faith.
Also,
I'm not
by the
gonna
way,
be faith.
it's really funny that Feline Father is saying if she didn't, if she did commit a crime, she did. It's treason.
Yeah.
She joined
Okay,
ISIS.
no. I think that's why I think he's coming from a gang thing too. Doobie, can I go for like 30 seconds, Doobie? Do you
Yes,
mind?
man.
Okay, so like, Feline brought up a gang thing and then brought up the not being charged just because they were ISIS, right? So I can kind of make a connection here where maybe his mindset is going, just for clarification, that like charging somebody for just being affiliated with a gang with no proof of crime is wrong. Charging someone, so I think he's fine if she's being charged for doing crimes with an ISIS, but not for maybe finding out if she was stolen, captured, or whatever. But like if you have definitive proof that she did something or assisted, he doesn't care. Also, just a quick break to remind people that might not have been listening or whatever that ISIS is not Islam. Like, do not confuse all Islamic people for people of ISIS or the Taliban or Al Qaeda or all these other fucking crazy people. They are not the same thing.
Okay. I want to let in Azzy. Azzy, you still there? I was gonna let you in.
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, please.
So I just, you know what? I feel like that. You guys ever seen that All Dogs Go to Heaven? The bad guy is literally saying, "I'm surrounded by morons." Like I really hope that some of these minds on these panels are healed before they spawn children or before they enter into our classroom.
God damn.
Because you guys are literally spewing out some really stupid stuff. Like, come on, like a lot of what Samantha, I'm just glad Samantha came in and said a lot of things that I already said a little bit more eloquently, but because I've already said this stuff, like she's unapologetic. I'm glad Clearest actually said the things that she actually did, which I don't even think we needed to hear that, because I assume I don't just assume you just join an international terrorist organization and literally do nothing but spawn a child. Like I highly doubt it, but I was just speculating at the time. But now I still, even now knowing about this, I don't, why are we still arguing for her? Like, she needs to come back and be put in trial and be put in jail. Like, even in America, if you're put in jail, you legally lose your citizenship. You're like,
no, what the fuck? You don't lose your citizenship, homie.
Wait, hold on.
Like you can't vote. You can't vote. You can't do a lot of the things.
But that's not losing citizenship. That's not the same thing.
Can't vote. No gun either.
It's literally not the same thing. So
let me finish. So okay. So what are we proposing, right? What are we proposing? Because I just don't understand why we're still trying to play like Feline. You need to relax, bro. You need to relax. So what? We're telling you legitimate facts. It can't be Islamophobia because they are literally attacking. They're not Islam. ISIS is not Islam, so it can't be Islamophobia. So that argument is out the window.
Like they literally do everything against Islamic scripture. Do you know anything?
Hold on.
Do you know anything?
No, hold on. Now this I'm gonna push back against. This is what I'm gonna push back against. Okay, because we have Christians. We have Christians who we can say they're non-Christians because they hate fucking everyone, right? Because they hate gay people. They want to do terrible things to gay people if they could, right? That they hate fucking intermarriage, right? Like they're for slavery. Like we have Christians who like
the Bible
who hit all
anti-gay,
because it's a terrible thing, right? Yeah. You can say that it's against scripture, but they're that's like a no true Scotsman, right? If they say they're Muslim and doing it under the Muslim banner, then I don't know what to tell you. Like
there you go.
We can't disambiguate.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it Islamophobic.
I didn't say that. So that's a different thing. Hold on. That's a different thing. Stardust, and I'm not calling you Islamophobic. I want to make that very clear. Okay. I'm just saying is that like just saying that like because they don't follow what you consider to be scripture, they'll disagree. They'll say you're not following scripture by not attacking the enemies of Islam, right? Like they're in the right and you're in the wrong, right? So it's a no true Scotsman fallacy here. Let's avoid that. So I hate this like, oh well, they're not Muslim. They're an extremist. They're extremists. They're extremists like any other, right?
Yeah.
And certainly, and I'm going to stand up for my Muslim brothers and sisters. Most of our Muslim brothers and sisters around the world do not partake in this, do not believe in any of this, right? That's fantastic. I want to make sure that we don't put Islamophobic facts out there. Holy shit! Am I still talking? Holy shit! Was I still talking? Because I thought I was still talking. I was. Oh, good. Thank you. All right. So just want to make sure that we understand that our Muslim brothers and sisters around the world are not taking part in this. This is not like some sort of group guilt type thing, right? But at the same time, I can't just like disambiguate this one group. It's like, oh, well, they're not Islam. They're saying they are. They're saying they're the one true. They're making a caliphate. So I that part I can't. But go ahead.
Just because you say you're black, if that doesn't mean you're black. Like that white woman who was saying she was black.
Oh boy, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, no, actually, I do have to push back. I do have to push back because I don't want to do the whole. I kind of agree with Prime here. I don't want to do.
I still want to. Let me finish. You can legally
never finish.
You can legally denaturalize somebody. This is international. You can. Matter of fact, America did it to a Nazi back in what 2004.
What?
Where they deported a Nazi? Yes.
I don't know.
Where do they send them?
Find me proof that they took away citizenship. Find me proof they took away citizenship. Deporting is different from that, right? That's what we're just talking about. That deporting.
Denaturalization.
No, that's not. That's denaturalization. That's not.
Can you drop a link in the
chat? Drop a link. Drop a link, please.
Here it is. I'm gonna post it again.
Okay, please. Okay.
Okay,
great. So we're gonna move down the line. Okay, we're gonna move down the line.
Finish. Y'all just.
Oh, dude, you take fucking forever to finish. You really do. You take forever. So we're moving on. We'll get back to you. Don't worry. So we're gonna go to Stardust. Doobie. Also, Doobie didn't get a chance to finish this point. So Stardust, Doobie. Then we'll go to Eagle, Samantha, and I guess that's it.
Okay, so I just wanted to say I do want to push back on. I agree with Prime on the whole no true Scotsman thing. Like I definitely don't want to do that. I just want to be very clear that that we should be able to criticize groups without immediately being called this phobic or that phobic, right? And I think it's valid to criticize somebody for being part of a group with that engages in this type of violence on an international level without it being necessarily Islamophobic, right? They are engaging in an international gang, right? And that's just what I think. That's how I think about it.
Okay, great. Let's go to Doobie.
Okay, so I think maybe. Because I think the question you're asking is a fair one, right? The question that Gambit asked, the question that you're asking Prime is basically, why aren't KKK members in the U.S. treated this way? But I think the difference is basically that these people aren't acting within the United States. They've left the country, or the UK, the United States, wherever it is. They've gone to fight for some foreign enemy, right? And now they're attempting to come back. And I think that we can see that this isn't that's the issue really, because there are people who in the United States, in the UK, have been convicted of being ISIS sympathizers, ISIS members, and they're not deported, right? They're tried and put in prison, right? So really the distinction here is that these people have left the country to fight for an enemy, and now they're trying to come back. So, I mean, I personally I think like the penalty for this level of like fucking treason should be execution, right? Like just straight up execution.
Yeah. Damn.
So if you're saying that they should come back, that she should come back, they should take her kid away and put her in fucking death row. Like I think I'd agree with that. But if you're saying that, hey, if there were like some international fucking Nazi group, right, that was actively openly at war with the U.S. and UK and all these other countries, and people went to go fight for that group and then attempted to come home, I think everybody would say, hey, yeah, if you want to go fight for that group, fuck you, you don't got to come home. Right? That's your home now. Right? I don't think you'd find any disagreement there.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. I can see that. So Eagle and then Samantha.
I'm gonna give my time to Ozzy.
Okay, never mind. Moving on. So we're going to.
What the fuck?
Holy shit! No, we're going to Samantha. Thanks.
Okay. So Prime said that Prime made a good point with
excuse
like
me. Hold
ISIS
on.
saying.
Eagle, excuse me. What did you just say? What did you just say?
So that's bullshit.
Excuse me. Holy fuck! I decide who the fuck talks here. You got a problem with that? Get the fuck out. Don't ever test me again. Don't do that. Not here or not ever. Not fucking ever. I decide. No one fucking else. Got it?
Someone's man.
Sure.
Thank you. Moving on, Samantha.
Okay, so you made the point that ISIS claims they're the true Islamic Caliphate. We got to remember that they're currently being fought by groups such as the last terrorist organization that called themselves the True Islamic Caliphate. Right? We were fighting alongside members of the Taliban over in Syria against ISIS and stuff. Another thing, ISIS phobia isn't a thing, so fuck it. I'm ultimately okay with like she wanted to go over there and join that state, that caliphate. So rather than like take away her citizenship and leave her just like a stateless thing where she's in limbo, just send her back to ISIS and let her face the same fate as the rest of ISIS people. She can, face Gitmo or a drone strike. I don't give a shit. That way there's no fucking, she wanted to go make her bed, let her lay in it. Like, let her learn the definition of fuck around and find out. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, I support it. She can catch a drone.
Based.
Okay, so let's see. That's the end of the list. Anyone else want to jump in?
I mean, yeah, fuck her. She left. I don't care if she's 15. Like any 15-year-old knows that it's bad to join a fucking terrorist organization. So yeah, no sympathy. And like, yeah, like, we shouldn't like need to take her back at all. Just take away her right to come back, and just leave her out to die, I guess. Fuck her. I don't care.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Oh wow, base. Yeah, man, wow.
You can respond if you like. Sorry, Strawberry, go ahead.
So I just want to be clear. So if a 15-year-old left with a 30-year-old man voluntary on her free will, and then came back and she had 3 kids, we would just say fuck her. She made her choice and she needs to live with it. Or I'm saying we treat her the same way. I mean,
that's kidnapping.
She didn't leave with the 30-year-old man. Yeah, she didn't leave. She left with her friends, didn't she? That's what the article said.
Two other female friends. Yeah.
I said she left under her own free will.
But not with
but she left with her friends.
Yeah, she didn't.
Not with 30-year-old men. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said if a 15-year-old girl left with a 30-year-old man, came back 4 years
That's
later.
kidnapping, bro. That's not leaving with a
But what
30-year-old
you're
guy.
saying
That's
So
kidnapping.
what you want is a
It's the same.
15-year-old leaves of her own free will with her friends who are also the same age as her, right?
No, see, this is the problem I have, because what y'all are saying is she's 15-year-old, so she can't leave with 30-year-old man of her own free will. It has to be kidnapping, because what you're saying is she doesn't have that choice as a 15.
What don't you understand about she didn't leave with a fucking 30-year-old man? What don't you understand about that?
Yes, obviously, but he's talking about a hypothetical. Yeah, that's what he's exploring.
He's saying that
this. And Preto?
Because she's a child, he's saying that her decision to leave should not be held against her any more than it would if she was with an adult. That's what he's arguing.
I mean,
but the fact is,
if she was abducted or coerced, that's a different story. She was neither. Neither was the situation.
Yeah,
Therefore, it's not a fair comparison.
He didn't say that. He didn't bring that up. He literally said, I don't know why you guys are so hard. He's saying, in a different situation, right? If she had left with a 30-year-old man, not her friend of the same age group, but a 30-year-old man under her own free will, what would you think, right? She didn't say anything about her being coerced. You just said that.
Then it wouldn't be her fault, but that's completely different. It has nothing to do with this.
Why would
situation.
it not be her fault in that situation?
Because she. Okay, if I have to explain it to you, like,
what are you about to say? What are you about to say?
Get smarter, Prime Case, because I shouldn't need to explain
Casino,
this.
shut the fuck up. What were you about to say to me? Say it again. Say it again.
What?
Right the fuck now. What were you about to say to me?
I said I shouldn't need to explain this to you, right? Like, this is self-evident.
Well then, hold on. I asked a question. Explain it to me. And watch your fucking mouth. No? All right, then we're moving the fuck on. All right,
what?
Clearest.
Answer your question, Prime.
Yeah.
I don't know what you said.
All right, well, all right, then shut the fuck up. All right, then you didn't hear it. Shut the fuck up. Moving on. Clearest.
Yeah, so I think fair enough. It is a different situation. where potentially she could have been abducted or something like that. If she had left with a 30-year-old man, she could have at least used that as some kind of a reason for why she left. She didn't, but that's completely different from this scenario. And like I said, I don't see how we should even be considering that. If she was abducted or coerced, then I think and I think she would also probably have expressed some kind of remorse or victimhood about how she was manipulated into going and doing something that somebody else wanted her to do. But again, this is a completely different scenario, and I don't think it relates. So
no, it is the same scenario. But you're saying if she was abducted or coerced. I said she wasn't. So you're still jumping around the question because you don't want to acknowledge.
I said that. I said if she left with a 30-year-old man, it's a different scenario, and it very possibly it earns her more sympathy, and potentially she could have received a lighter
Why
sentence.
did she receive sympathy? She left on her own free will. It was her choice.
What we're talking about your hypothetical where she leaves with a 30-year-old man who could have like brainwashed her and or abducted her and or coerced her.
Okay, so
I'm entertaining your scenario.
No, and I'm gonna let him respond. I'm gonna move two people out because I want two other people to one other person jump in. So maybe just one other person now. So I'm gonna just move people out. So Davis, thank you for joining us. But we'll have you again in the future, I promise.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much. All right. Thanks. Bye, Davis. Thank you. All right. Hey, Dylan Burns, thanks for being here. Kobe, if you want to come back. Okay. And then one other person. 1 second. All right, so I might move one other person later on. We'll see. But thank you for being here, Dylan Burns. We'd love to hear what you have to say about that. Now let's go back to Clearus, who was talking to Strawberry. Clearus, you want to say something to Strawberry?
Yeah. So, but that was the main thing, is that I'm entertaining your hypothetical in that, if she had left with a 30-year-old man, and later on she had said something like, I was abducted and or coerced and or brainwashed or something like that. Yeah, it could have earned her more sympathy. That's not at all what the scenario was. So it doesn't relate.
Okay.
I'm
gonna move you out here. All right. Please come back in the future. We'd love to have you. Okay. Glockosaurus, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
Yeah. I'm gonna move you out. I'm gonna cycle someone else in. Okay. But please come back in the future. All right.
All right.
All right. Have a good one, buddy.
Have a good one, everybody.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So please go ahead, Strawberry. We can respond.
Yeah, I don't. You respond to it, but then at the very end, you keep saying if she was abducted, if she was coerced. I don't think you're honoring the hypothetical, and you're addressing it fully of the choice that a 15-year-old could have, and that you're holding this 15-year-old girl to a certain standard in the ISIS scenario that you're not holding the 15-year-old girl who decided to run off with this grown man and have kids. I don't think you're treating them the same.
Okay, I disagree. I disagree.
Okay. All right. Well. Okay. Well then, Ninetales. Ninetales. All right. We'll go Ninetales then.
Okay. Hi. Thank you for having me, Prime. Everyone should subscribe to Prime if they can. Hope I'm not ruining business for you. So two thoughts on this. First of all, it seems to me that there's a double standard for people when we try to say like, oh, well, we should have sympathy for the Capitol rioters because they were influenced by Donald Trump or QAnon or something like that. But as soon as it's somebody who we see as the other, then it's a huge. Then we just condemn them for being convinced by that. And like we're talking about a 15-year-old girl, not somebody with consolidated worldviews or plenty of experiences to base what their decisions off of. So for as far as we know, all they know is this life. And their lack of regret could just be a lack of reference point to something better. On the other hand, I think that providing them a means to come back is more likely to de-radicalize people than just saying, well, you're no longer wanted here. If you really want people to de-radicalize, to realize their mistakes, to not feel afraid of going back, you have to not so much destigmatize this, but like remove from them the guilt by association. Now I realize that this person apparently did do some awful things. I think they should be held accountable for that, but in the court of law of the country of their origin. If I don't understand how we're jumping straight to removing citizenship if we're not talking about due process in between.
Let's go.
Who had sympathy for the Capitol rioters? Because I sure as hell
There's
didn't.
so many people saying there's so many people
I'm
saying
not one of them.
literally
I think
never
all
seen
of
that.
them should be in like prison for life, unironically. Every single one of them. But that's just me.
Okay, well, there's so many people saying
earlier,
that we need to give them sympathy because like they were tricked into doing this and yada yada.
No,
yada.
they're
You
not.
might be
Well,
an
they're
exception to
wrong.
that rule, but
Nah, fuck it. They can go to Gitmo too. I don't care. And the she didn't have reference to something better. I'm pretty sure she didn't grow up running around with AKs and fucking sewing bombs into people's clothing. I'm pretty sure like everybody grows up with a reference of not fucking joining a terrorist organization.
But the prefrontal cortex develops later in life, right? So like her ability to process all of this stuff would have come later, not like during the time where she was living in the UK.
Well,
nah, she's 15.
Just because it's not fully developed doesn't mean it's not functional. Okay,
No,
it's
I
still
know. I never
functional
said it's
enough
not functional.
to. It's still functional enough to realize that joining a terrorist organization is bad. Don't use this.
How do you know that?
Prefrontal because I was 15 and even I knew back then that like joining a
when we're
fucking
15,
terrorist
we-
organization is bad. Okay, all of us
Well,
were 15 and all of us know that maybe joining ISIS is bad. Okay, don't give me this bullshit. Stop. It's
No,
bad
you don't
faith.
know that.
And
All of
you
you
should
to
stop
assume I was
using, you
15.
should stop using the argument. Like,
Okay, so
so,
Ninetales
like,
respond, and we'll go to Samantha afterwards. Go ahead, please.
Like on one hand, like it's easy to say that you know that that's bad, but I feel like if I asked most 15-year-olds why joining ISIS is bad, they would just say, well, they do bad things. They don't actually know what about ISIS is bad.
That's enough.
And on the other hand,
That is
like
enough, yeah.
no, it's not. You're conflating the ability to recognize something for its ethical implications versus just knowing that if I do something, I'm going to have social consequence. I think you're acknowledging like a 15-year-old's brain's ability to recognize social consequence, but you're not actually describing an ability to recognize the ethical flaws in something like ISIS.
Ignorance.
She
of
couldn't
the
have
law.
anticipated consequences
And
for being
what do you
part of the
finish that
fucking
with?
morality police and sewing bombs into people's clothes. She
Yeah,
can't
no, I
anticipate
believe she should do
consequences.
that in the court of law of her country of origin, not be like not be ostracized.
The court of law of her country of origin decided they didn't want anything to do with her.
Casino.
That's
I just
that's
think
what
She also,
happened with the court of
she
law.
also revoked her own
Okay.
citizenship.
Can I?
But
Okay, that's fine.
no,
then.
we'll,
That's
we'll
her
get you,
choice.
Dylan. We will get you. I promise. We'll have you after Samantha. Casino, did you finish your point, your response? I'm not sure if you did.
I'm gonna say this one time and one time only.
Okay.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse. All right, that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, great. So we'll move on to Samantha, then we'll go to Dylan Burns.
No, please just go to Dylan.
Okay, all right, Dylan.
Okay, so denying somebody citizenship to a state, making someone stateless, is the abuse of someone's human rights. Point blank, period. This is something that's agreed upon by the international community. And what the British court decision would be, if they were to completely strip this woman of British citizenship, with making her de facto stateless. The only other option for her would be Bangladesh. She's never lived in Bangladesh, and I find it very suspect that a Bangladeshi court would allow her to go in there. So number one, if at the end of the day, she doesn't get British citizenship, that would probably be a denial of human rights. Human Rights Watch backs this up, and I disagree with the British court's decision. I do not think she is the threat that they are suggesting she poses. I'm pretty sure the British authorities would be able to put her under careful eye. That's number one. Number two, when we look at this individual and we look at the facts of this case, we need to also understand where she's currently being held, which is a camp. It would be All Whole Camp or one of the other ones. There's an account on Twitter that's CAKI, this guy called Kaki, who does amazing breakdowns about what's going on in these camps. They are terrible conditions, and the people in these camps, a lot of them are not great people either. But the Kurdish, the Kurds over here, the SDF, the YPJ, the YPG have talked time and time again of the need for these people to be brought back to their home countries because they are overburdened. They're having to fight the Turkish militants that have backed up their forces in northeastern Syria. They're having to do anti-ISIS raids all the time. And then they also have to have the brunt of detainments for some of the most brutal ISIS fighters in the world and their wives, who are also pretty fucking radical. So What we're doing there is letting a national security concern go unattended, where breakouts from these camps continue to happen because the home countries won't take them to more secure locations. So what we're doing is letting a problem fester that's going to become an even bigger national security concern if we don't take them back to the home countries. I think the best thing to do would to not be deny someone the right to allegiance to a state, number one, and number two, for national security concerns, she actually should be brought back to the UK.
Okay, so I think there's a lot in that that doesn't make any fucking sense. Can I respond?
Please go ahead.
People
Sure.
that are on
Go on, Doobie,
cams are just so based.
Doobie, go ahead, please.
So you just said yourself, right, that she does have another option, which is Bangladesh, right? So saying that the UK refusing her citizenship would be stripping her of some kind of human right because she'd be stateless, it's not actually accurate. She does have another option, right? She's never been to Bangladesh.
Bangladesh would
So
not be an
fucking
option.
what?
It's not going to be an option.
Wait,
The
why not?
Bangladeshi court will not accept it. It's not going to happen.
Okay,
She's never been to
so will,
Bangladesh.
so will,
It would
will
have to
not
be
or
through
has
her
not?
mother.
Hold on,
And
please.
her mother.
No,
Okay.
Dylan, listen, will not or has not?
It will not.
Okay, so you think they will not, but
I know they will not.
That's what they said. They said they don't want her back.
As it stands, the UK, right, is not violating any of her human rights or making her stateless by denying her. She has another option. If they choose to deny her, they would in effect be making her stateless.
No,
now she's been denied
she
by the UK
becomes
without option.
stateless if they.
No,
she becomes stateless if they revoke her citizenship.
Can I?
You think
okay,
somebody else should cover that they made her stateless? That's like,
okay,
Doobie, no, you understand this. You're smarter.
Okay, please let me just continue. So then saying that, like, you know, these people need to be taken back, right? Or there's like a further national security concern. I think there's something to that, but the other side of that is many of these people, right, are radicalized. She's still radicalized. She still thinks she's done nothing wrong. She still does not regret it. She thinks today that it's okay to execute other Muslims, right, for not being her version of what she calls Islam, right? So bring people like that back, and she's not the only one. There are plenty of other people in these camps that have the same crazy ass beliefs, right? Who still sympathize with this terrorist organization and other terrorist organizations. Bringing those people back to countries that they've declared war against by joining ISIS is a massive fucking security concern, much worse than having them off in some camp somewhere, right? So yeah, I think you're only looking at one side of this.
No, okay. So number one, she is de facto stateless as of right now. And if the British government does decide to say that she cannot come back, she is not a British citizen, that would make her de facto stateless. If you want to make the argument that her ties to her mother makes her a Bengali citizen, I find that to be a ridiculous claim on its face, and a Bengali court will agree with that. Now we can say, well, let's wait 10 years to find out how the Bengali court system does this, but it would be like me saying, well, I mugged them, I wonder if they'll find me guilty with all the CTV footage. The CT footage is there. All prior precedent would point to what's going to happen, what's the decision. Human Rights Watch has already said that this decision makes her de facto stateless. Most NGOs agree that this decision has made her de facto stateless. This is the denial of her human rights. So,
Yeah,
number one.
But
Number
she
two,
made herself stateless. What the fuck?
I don't care.
Let
No,
her
no, no.
through.
She, as a human being, as her being alive, has a right to a state. That
No,
is her
you don't.
human
No,
right.
no, that's not.
You
No,
do.
no,
Yes,
you
you
don't.
do.
Hold on.
You do
None
not.
of
You
yes,
have no
you
right
do.
to a state.
You
Yes, you
literally
do.
you
You
literally
cannot be
do.
stateless. Yes, you can. I don't care. I don't care what you have to say. This is just international law.
Legality does not mean legality does not mean morality.
Well, no, that's a different thing. Okay, if you're arguing two different things, though,
But
right?
who's
He's talking about legality.
Well, I would also
okay?
say it's
All right.
moral because if you deny someone a state, then you deny somebody basic services as a human being, and I don't care. Okay, now it's number one. If you want to say that your moral systems disagree with it, I'm talking about law, international law right now, okay? Not whatever, like, you're a terrorist, therefore you get executed in the backyard type fucking Wild West shit you want, okay?
Well,
Number two.
Go ahead.
Number two. Now, the situation in northeastern Syria is extremely unstable. This is due to a lot of factors. I would say one of the main factors is our pullout. Trump's pullout from northeastern Syria was a huge disaster. We have the SDF has to fight Turkish-backed militants, which are currently invading northeastern Syria and quote-unquote Operation Peace Spring. They're having to do anti-ISIS operations, which decreased by 75% due to that Turkish invasion. And breakouts from these facilities are becoming a weekly occurrence due to Turkish shells hitting these facilities, planned breakouts. And when these breakouts happen, they're foreign fighters, some of the most radical fighters possible. Getting these people to secure facility back in their original home countries would be a lot more safe when it comes to containment, or we're going to push the burden onto the Syrian people, and eventually that burden will trek back to us. These are foreign fighters. These are dedicated people that would be much better contained in secure facilities back in the home country where an active war is not going on. The SDF is already understaffing these facilities because they're too busy fighting the Turkish-backed militants of northeastern that have invaded northeastern Syria. They continue to understaff these facilities because they just don't have the means. And this has been a public request the government of Rojava has put forward time and time again. We need to go forward with the commitment we made when we started Operation Inherent Resolve and help relieve them of this terrorist presence within their country.
Okay. And who wants to respond to that?
I'd like to actually.
Okay.
So I think this is like kind of you keep saying like declaring allegiance to a state is like a human right. Well, if that were the case, she declared allegiance to ISIS, to the Islamic State, right? Whether or not this is internationally respected, this is something that she apparently respected, and she declared her allegiance to. That state fell apart. So why is it the responsive? Please, why is it the responsive? Well, they were attempting to make a caliphate. She apparently respected that they were doing this, and she agreed with their goals. She declared allegiance to them. She still agrees with their ideology. So why is it the responsibility of the UK, of Bangladesh, of any other country to take in people like this who've declared themselves enemies of these states, right? Who've left their homes to go fight for a foreign enemy? Why should they now have to take them back?
British courts. In 2016, the UK. Listen to me. The British courts in 2016 upheld the importance of citizens to a person's human rights. She currently does not have citizenship to Bangladesh. There's being debated the question of whether she will have citizenship to the UK. If you want to argue she's an ISIS citizen, we would have to make the argument that ISIS right now is a state. If you wanted to make the argument they're a state 6 years ago, I would debate you on the fact because I don't recognize them as the state, but they're most certainly not a state now. They don't have any territorial holdings. So if the British courts, the international courts, international law, and most any human rights lawyer all agree that being tied to a state is a human right, and this will be the decision which decides whether she has that human right, then I think she should be given citizenship.
Can I ask you something?
Wait, hold on.
Hold on.
1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. So, but if you're appealing to the British courts have just revoked her citizenship. Right, so if we're going to appeal to the British courts, they've made their decision.
I think they're being hypocritical.
So I'm also appealing to the British courts, right? And my
and international, but I'm appealing to them, NGOs, international courts
is more recent than yours.
So I gotta
but that British ruling, they haven't overruled that British ruling from 2016. They still acknowledge that citizenship is something needed for a human right, as most NGOs, international, any organization of respect in international law. They are just trying to make the argument that this doesn't really strip her of that, even though everybody knows that they're just kicking the can to Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is going to look at the can and say, fuck you, and not do anything. This is making her de facto stateless. We're just kicking the legal can down the road.
Is that such a terrible problem?
Yes.
Is that really the worst thing in the world?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll let. Sorry, we've got a few people waiting, so we'll go to Fanatic. So Brento, no, you want to go in. So we'll go to a Fanatic, then Brento, then Kobe, then Stardust. Okay.
My question was, in swearing allegiance to the.
I said Fanatic. I said Fanatic, and then Brento. Go ahead. No problem. Then Kobe, then Stardust.
Yeah, I think everything that Dylan was saying kind of made sense. There is a different thing. I think you guys are literally arguing different things. I think what Dylan's arguing is right now that there's just legal precedent and there's all of these laws, right? When you start talking about legal, you're talking about laws that basically say that to revoke someone's citizenship revokes them of rights. And I understand all of those things, but I think what you guys are talking about is more of a sort of punitive justice that wants to seek some sort of recompense for the actions that she did, for all of the involvement that she had. But I think at the end of the day, if we get to a point where we start feeling like the only way we can handle things is to excise people from a country and push them off to somewhere else, I think we're getting into some pretty anarchistic ideas. Because at the end of the day, we should believe in a justice system that has some sort of way of helping people to rehabilitate and helping people to to assimilate back with society and all of those things. And when we don't feel like we can do that, then we have life in prison or whatever else the hell that we do. But this whole idea of just no, you don't have a state, no, you can't be in this country, no, you can't whatever if this is where you're from, and it just sounds a little bit ridiculous to me. Like it's very rare that we would ever do that, and even in the cases of like someone revoking their citizenship, if someone, especially a young person, but it doesn't matter, age doesn't matter, if someone revokes their citizenship, but this is where they are from, I would imagine like we would have a moral obligation to recognize the same way that we serve everyone else, that we have a moral obligation to serve that person, unless of course they are still currently actively like involved with something else, like if they're actively involved in sedition of some kind. But in this specific case, this chick, like, I mean, yeah, I think everything she did is horrible. Yeah, I want her to be punished to like the fullest extent of the law. Yeah, I think she should be punished to the full extent of the law, just like any other British person had they done all those seditious things. If we're in the United States of America right now and we engage in all sorts of nonsense, we're gonna go to a federal prison. They're not gonna take away our citizenship. Like we're still going to be American, and they're just gonna punish us by the fullest extent of the law. I don't see. Explain to me why we shouldn't punish this person to the full extent of the law while she still retains her citizenship.
Wait, but haven't other countries done exactly this? They've, I think Canada was doing this for a while. I know that Australia was doing this. Tajikistan is doing this. They're saying that if you leave this country to join a terrorist organization that has declared war against this country, you are no longer a citizen. Right, so this isn't like unique to her. This is something that was kind of implemented many nations as a response to like global terrorism.
Yeah, I think it is a lot of countries trying to kick the can of responsibility to other nations, saying that since, well, they were once our people, but then once they did that, they're not our responsibility anymore. We don't need to try them under our justice system. We don't need to contain them. We don't need to deal with them. Pass the flag over Syria. They're your problem forever now. I think that's irresponsible statecraft.
But Dylan,
I think that makes sense.
Not in circumstances of national defense. The Home Office. So I linked something again in Discord and VC chat. The Supreme Court ultimately decided that she was a national security risk, and thus they were allowed to take this measure. They didn't want her coming back to the country and basically running around somehow sneaking in because she's got citizenship. This is something that ultimately they decided, and they ruled again upon multiple appeals. It was something that
wait. The decision isn't she's no longer a decision. She's making an appeal for her citizenship. This is about her returning during the appeal process. The idea that she would come back, sit in British courts for the trial, and not be in a Syrian camp during that. Because what this is saying is that it's telling her that she needs to stay in the Al-Hol camp and that the case will be postponed. And then they did not give a date for when the case would actually happen, meaning at the moment the case is postponed indefinitely.
Let's go to Brento. I don't believe you got a chance to speak, and then Kobe, then Stardust.
Thanks. Yeah, my question, Dylan, I was going to ask you. It's like, I think your answer would be no, and that's fine. But I want to know what you think anyway. Would you consider it like? Would you consider a citizen of a country swearing allegiance to like a sworn enemy dedicated to that country's destruction a revocation of your own citizenship of your country?
Revocation of your own citizenship of your country.
To swear allegiance to a sworn enemy in like against your own country. To swear the destruction of your own country and allegiance to another.
It's difficult. I would say that if there is an ability for them to become a state of some other country that is the enemy, then yes. But if not, then there has to be some system of rights that are allotted to them in court. There has to be some under whose judicial system do we try them under. There's certain human rights that they're still bound to no matter what crimes they have committed. One of which is... Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can make it more specific, right? So, like, if Mexico were to go to the war with the United States, right, and people from the United States went to Mexico, took up arms. This is a word buzzing sound. Took up arms against the American military, right? At some point, they were caught as POWs or whatever. They're currently in Mexico. They've been fighting the U.S. as part of like the Mexican army. Are these people still U.S. citizens that need to be shipped back over the border and given like a trial? Like, why shouldn't we treat these people as the same way we would treat someone in the Mexican military?
It would completely depend on whether we could now classify them as a citizen of Mexico, because then it wouldn't be statelessness.
Wait, so I don't understand why statelessness is even an issue here.
I
know you're saying this is like legally a problem, right? But like, why is this morally a problem to you?
Statelessness is an issue because what it does is it places a lot of people in the position of being a refugee with no state they can go to, and it perpetually puts them in places like refugee camps. One great example would be Rohingya Muslims, there's been a hardcore ethnic cleansing campaign by the government of Myanmar/Burma, and the argument they make is, well, they're technically not citizens of Myanmar, so fuck off, and then they're basically ethnically cleansed, kicked out of the country, and there's no legal basis within Myanmar to protect those people.
Wait, so are you saying that like because I can see how like in that situation there would be a problem, right? But that doesn't mean across the board, right? Statelessness or revocation of your citizenship is immoral, right? So like I can see it as a pretty good deterrent. Like, hey, if you want to leave your country and go fight for some terrorist group, when your country kicks that terrorist group's ass, you don't get to come home anymore. You get stuck in a refugee camp somewhere until someone takes you in. Like that seems like a pretty defined consequence to have on the table for these people.
So we're gonna kick out the Confederate sympathizers. I'm with that.
I went over this earlier, Gambit. It is not comparable because if there were Confederate sympathizers who left the United States, went to fucking Germany, went to Germany and fought for like some Nazi group that was at war with the United States and then attempted to come home. Yeah, I'd agree with you. Hey, fuck you.
Wait, no, stop. Wait. You can't move the what's it called? Move the goalpost.
Goalpost,
You didn't even actually move the goalpost. You didn't actually move it. Literally, all you did was just thrown in some tangential like specificity, hoping that somehow that you would obfuscate what actually happened. They did secede from the Union. They did secede from the Union. They were no longer a part of this country. They did. No, they didn't. You didn't. They said they were no longer a part of this country. So if they're no longer a part of this country, it doesn't matter if they're part of Germany. It doesn't matter if they're part of Islam or an Islamic state. It doesn't matter what the freak they're part of. The second you declare war, there was an actual war. Many lives were lost. The second you declare war against a country, then you're no longer a part of that country. The second you wrote your letters of secession, then at that point you were no longer a part of the country. Don't sit here and try to don't let me finish. Don't get specific and then try to say, well, if you're not going specifically,
you're ranting, but you're misunderstanding.
Don't get into specific. I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish. I can't finish. Don't get into specifics and start trying to add in specifics like, well, if you're not part of this specific state or this specific country or this specific region or whatever, none of that changes to the base idea of if you secede from the Union, you are no longer part of the state. And if you're not part of the state, you're not a citizen. That's all that he was saying. And that absolutely holds up. You didn't even respond to that.
Wait, hold on. I think you're misunderstanding. Really quickly. I think you're misunderstanding. Right? If he's talking about the actual fucking Confederate soldiers, yes, I agree. Right. What I was thinking he was speaking about is what we were talking about earlier, which is like KKK members, white nationalists in the U.S. right now. Right. That the argument that Gambit was making earlier is why haven't we revoked these people's citizenship? Right. That's
what's the difference. What's the difference?
If they're in the same difference that they get the same treatment today that ISIS sympathizers that are active in the U.S. they get arrested, they get tried because they're in the U.S. and shit. If they were to leave, whether they're going out to fight for some Nazi terrorist group against the United States or some Islamic terrorist group against the United States, then yeah, I totally support revoking their citizenship.
Well, okay. Hold on. I got one question. Okay, what happens?
Before you do that, I'm gonna let you do that question. Before you do that, after Doobie answers it, I want Kobe to go, then Stardust to go. Kobe, could you take over for me? I'm gonna be gone for a little bit. And one quick thing, Tiffany, your mic. Every time you do this all the time, when you flip your mic like that, it has a static sound that happens. So like, maybe only flip it when you're absolutely going to talk or something, because literally every time there's a static sound.
I do it to mute myself so I don't say anything.
Maybe try muting on Discord or something, because like literally every time there's a static sound when you do that. So if you could,
Tiffany, you can
I did not know that. Thank you for
or push to talk. Yeah, sure. All right. Well, anyway, again, so Fanatic, ask your question. Doobie answer it. Then go to Kobe, Stardust. Kobe, I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay. So Doobie, let me ask you a question. If Germany, if Nazi Germany had some sort of faction that was operating within the U.S. and a person still disaffected from the United States and decided to join that thing, even though they didn't actually leave the actual continental U.S., but they clearly they disavow their citizenship and they're fighting with the United States within the United States borders with this group, would you still say would there be a distinction between that and actual and the Nazi Germany? Would there be a difference between that and then actually going to Germany and joining a Nazi force? Would there be a distinction?
That's a good question. Because I've I thought of this a bit before. Like we had this came up like just personally, like when San Bernardino, the terrorist attack in San Bernardino happened, right? ISIS sympathizers shot up like 30 people. The original plan was to shoot with the 91 freeway that I drive on every fucking day, right? So I thought of that. And honestly, like I don't think so. Like I think if you were to present me with a situation where someone has declared allegiance to some foreign group, right, some foreign terrorist group, and now have machine guns and they're shooting at police officers in the United States, then yeah, given that they've declared allegiance to some other group, some other quote unquote state that's attempting to be formed, then yeah, I would say, hey, if you want to revoke these people's citizenship and treat them under like military law or some shit, send them to fucking Gitmo or something. I'm okay with that.
Okay, what's the difference between that and the Confederates?
Well, okay, I said that I'd agreed with you with the Confederates, right? So they declared separation from the United States, declared allegiance to the Confederacy, no longer American citizens. They no longer get the protections of American citizens, right? So after they were defeated and they were basically forced back into the fold, right? And then they get those rights. But while the war was going on, I'm totally okay with not giving them any rights that the American citizens get, treating them like a foreign enemy.
Okay, what if they're doing that still now? What if they're back in the fold, quote unquote, but they still have their same seditious ideas and they're still doing the exact same thing? They're still engaged in the same nonsense, and they actually still want to disconnect from the country.
When you say engaged in the same nonsense, do you mean like actively shooting people and shit? Like
I don't know, active capital insurrection.
Oh, well, capital insurrection.
No. I'm just saying, that would be an example, or maybe I don't know, like saying things like we still secede from the Union, still like honoring all of the people who literally engaged in fights against the country and killed all sorts of people. Like all of those kind of things. What would you take?
Okay, so if you're asking like what I would like in a perfect world, I would want most of these people to lose their citizenship, to be put into like re-education centers, right? I don't care about the free speech, but in the U.S. context, right? I don't think you can do that in the United States, unfortunately. People who are at the fucking Capitol and like attempted like an insurrection, those people should be fucking executed for treason. They tried found guilty of treason and executed. Fuck those people, right? But if you're like some dumbass, that walks around Charlottesville with a Confederate flag, right? And that's the extent of your activism. You're ranting about how scary black people are, and you got your stupid flag, and how the white race is superior. If that's all you're doing in the U.S., unfortunately, you can't do much about that shit. But I think once you cross the line into like actually attempting some kind of like violence against any fucking buddy, yeah, fuck those people. That's especially if the reasoning is like, I'm acting against the United States in favor of the Confederate government or some shit. That's just treason. Those people should be shot, in my opinion.
Gavin, I feel bad for you.
Is my turn to go? First things first. So I have Stardust next. Who was to speak after Stardust? Anybody remember?
I think you were in there somewhere.
Yeah, you can go.
I was before you started. So I'm saying who's
after them. I want to talk. So
for sure. I have to have most of the cameras disabled on my laptop because my laptop's really shitty. So if you'd like to speak, just peep up and I'll put you on the list. All right. Statelessness is a very big problem. I recommend people look into the partition of India. This was a really big issue in which India, Pakistan, Bangladesh were all, the British Raj was all broken up, and one of the big issues was there were many people who had never had to state their ethnicity. They never, Higna had been brought up. The Karen, another group, these groups had never had to state their ethnicity, now needing to state their ethnicity, not knowing where to put it, and being made stateless, which basically meant, as Dylan was putting, no one really cares when you do human rights abuses against them because no one has to care. That's a big issue, right? This is something I think that at least I'm worried. I want to avoid. As was said earlier, kicking the can down the road, exile, these things just obviously do not work. I would argue one of the biggest problems we have in I guess like the Middle East is a lot of great powers like to go into the Middle East, fuck shit up, and then not actually like clean up the mess, right? The Western powers, including Britain, is partially responsible for the situation in the middle in Syria, in Iraq. I think that it is responsible. We are responsible in some way to help them do this, including taking care of our messes. A British citizen that goes over here. I would also like to. I will do it. I'll be the brave man to make the radical feminist critique. I think that we should factor in the role of women in Islamic communities in a lot of places. They're incredibly oppressed. There's an incredible amount of servitude and I'd argue brainwashing that is goes on in many of these communities. This was a 15-year-old girl who was a minority growing up in a very Islamophobic country, who was growing up during a time of war against what was perceived, I guess, as like her people. I think that these things need to be factored in. This woman has lost 5 children, has had 5 children die. These are obviously all things that are going to factor into her decisions. I think that this very cold response of, oh, she was 15, she revoked her citizenship. I don't think this is taking enough time to think about the context of the situation. I think that's all I really wanted to say. The last thing I wanted to say is that I think that if you're going to make an argument for like radicalization, that you're worried the person's going to continue to be radical, I promise you that if we send her back to Turkey and we send her back to these camps, there's one thing that's going to happen, and that's she's going to become more radical than any of us could ever possibly imagine. Anyways, that's my take. Stardust, go, and then if anybody else wants to be on the list.
I actually lost my point, so if somebody else wants to
For sure, I'll go Dylan, and then Cosmic Fox, you wanted to go?
Okay. So we'll go Dylan and then Cosmic Fox. Stardust, please write your points down so you don't forget. But Dylan, please.
Okay. So first thing I would say is I do not think we should execute everybody who was at the Capitol. I do not believe in the death penalty. Death penalty bad. Second, when it comes to American citizenship, as far as I'm not a legal expert, but as far as I know, I think it's like 5 years after you were naturalized, they can revoke your citizenship, but that's specifically because you might be able to get the citizenship of the country that you were with before, possibly. But if you're an American who joins Al-Qaeda, I still think you're like, technically they have to bring you back and treat you like an American citizen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why a lot of the drone strike cases where we go overseas, and this was a case I think a while ago. I'm trying to remember because this is really old. This is Obama term I'm thinking about right now. But there was a case where there was an American terrorist in the Middle East doing terrorism, and we killed them with a drone strike. And there was a question of like, were we supposed to give them a fair trial because technically they're an American? And that was a legal debate that was going on if that was actually legal for us to do that. And that there was some, I forget, it was a while ago. Now, when it comes to this instance, here's one of the issues that can come about this. One of the things that Human Rights Watch is actually alleging is that the death of one of her children were due to poor conditions in the Syrian camp, meaning that a condition of her statelessness could have contributed to the death of her unborn child, meaning that this is actually one of the issues with statelessness, and this is what the UN talks about all the time, a lack of access to things like healthcare, education, and things like that. In this instance, a lack of healthcare could have contributed to the death of an innocent child, even if it was due to her mother's terrible decision making. So that's another issue that comes with statelessness.
Wait, hold on. So I think it's interesting that you'd frame that as a death of an innocent child and not the salvation of a future child who would have been raised by a literal fucking terrorist sympathizer.
Okay, well look at you. You're going off into some anti-natalist.
No. Wait, hold on. Why?
Let him finish at least.
Hold on. So yeah, she lost a potential baby. Something that you lefties would call a fetus. Most of you, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
like,
who gives a fuck?
Is it a child or is it not a child?
This baby would have been raised by a terrorist sympathizer.
It was a newborn son. It was a newborn son.
Who gives a fuck?
Okay,
right?
that matters.
So please,
he said who gives a fuck.
It literally doesn't. It literally doesn't matter, right? Why would I want this? Right? Why would I want this lady to be raising any fucking buddy? That's fucking gross, right? So no. If she does have any children, they should be taken away from her. Right? She should not be raising children. Right? So
do you think I disagree with that?
If the issue is that like the camps, the conditions are really bad, or whatever the fuck, most of these people should probably be in fucking prison and like put on death row anyway. Right? So like just fucking do that. Why should we give these people any fucking credence? Right? We're all struggling over what to do with these people who've declared war against most of the fucking world by joining ISIS. Why should we give them any fucking leeway? Fuck these people.
This sounds a lot. I mean, Doobie, you sound like a proud Trump voter right now. When Trump got up there and said, bomb their families, I didn't know that rung so true to you, that when they're the children of terrorists, so the children of people who've done bad things, kill them all. Maybe part of the American bombing raids over Nazi Germany should have been specifically targeted at possibly maybe schools, because we want to get those children before they become big Nazis. Maybe that should be a part of a warfare from now on when we go into bombing raids.
Would you support taking these people and putting them into like re-education centers where they're restricted from like
I would
actively
support
outside
taking that child away from her mother
No,
if her
her.
mother is a literal
This
terrorist.
woman. This woman. Would you support putting her into re-education camp, China style, and re-educating her?
A China-style re-education camp? Probably not. I would definitely be a supporter
Okay.
of
Really?
trying to de-radicalize her.
Okay.
She should just be in prison for the rest of her life and never get out ever.
I don't believe in concentration camps. No.
Okay,
Dylan, real quick.
No
concentration
rehabilitation,
fucking
she just
buzzword,
goes away.
right? So like we can call it prison if you'd like, right? A prison cell where she is forced to go to attend classes every day to teach her why what she fucking did was a bad thing and why she shouldn't do this anymore, right? And then once
That's fine, but that's
okay.
irrelevant to the death of the child,
It's
which
not,
you're fine with.
yeah, I don't give a fuck that her kid died. I really don't. All right, so given
See,
that
this
these
is the
people-
problem with
is-
him not having his face out there. Is he can just say murder the brown kids and it's fine.
I'm not saying murder the brown kids.
Dylan,
So
real quick.
Turn your fucking camera on.
Yeah, that's not true.
all right.
That's not, he's not saying
What's your
that.
thoughts on
No, he's like he doesn't care if brown
Hiroshima,
kids die.
Dylan?
Fine.
That's nothing to do with her being. I'm fucking brown. That's nothing to do with her being. They'll try to make this
Okay,
racial.
you just don't care because it's like civilian casualties is whatever. But
You know
the thing
what's
is, you can say
Okay.
stuff like that behind like a fake avatar, and it's fine. Okay, because you have a fake avatar on because you're a
That's
coward.
cool. That's cool. Okay, so what I'm saying here, right, is if there are children in these camps, they should definitely be taken away from these people, right, and raised by other people who are not fucking terrorist sympathizers. Secondly, if you have some kind of an issue with statelessness, why not instead support, right, the funding and creation of re-education centers, right, at these camps where these people were forced to go every single day to train them out of this shitty ideology, and then once people are sufficiently convinced that they're no longer part of the shitty ideology, maybe someone will take them in. But right now, with her saying that she doesn't regret what she did, that she still thinks it's okay to behead Muslims, why should anybody be forced to fucking take her in?
All right, so Dylan, real quick, what's your thoughts on the Hiroshima bombing?
It's kind of. I don't really.
What's
Why
your
is it
thoughts on
relevant? I'm sorry. I'm just. Why is
because
it
I'm trying to figure out if you're consistent on like innocent children dying, right? What's your thoughts on the?
I don't think I know enough about
Hiroshima,
the bombing of Hiroshima
Nagasaki
to really
bombing.
make a. I
They
don't
just
really
bombed
have
the city, the whole city.
I mean, they bombed like civilians to end a war. Like, do you support that or do you not?
I
Well, that
don't
happened
know
after
enough.
World War II, though.
Okay,
That
okay,
was
I
all
don't.
World War
Okay, if your question is should we target civilians to end wars, my answer is no.
Okay.
So
So you don't support those bombings then? Okay.
Again, I don't know enough about those bombings. I'm not a World War II historian.
Okay.
Especially not in that. I just don't have enough knowledge on it. People like spend their whole lives dedicated to those two bombings. I just don't have the knowledge to make a determination.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Hypertroller, for the $3. I saw that. He says the drone strike situation Dylan was talking about was Anwar al-Awlaki. Him and his brother were killed extrajudiciously. I thought he was talking about him and his son. But anyway, maybe I'm incorrect. It was clearly hyper legal. This is what Hypertroller said. But anyway, moving on to Ninetales, has been waiting patiently. Ninetales.
Okay, I was basically just going to reaffirm some of the things that Dylan and Kobe were saying, but I actually wound up having a question for Dylan because I agree with you on what we should do, but who do you think should take the children? Because I know Doobie also thinks this, but I don't care what he thinks. Who do you think should take the children? But also, which nationality should they be considered?
It's obviously so the options would be right. It would be Syrian, but that's not really an option because Bashar al-Assad is not going to give them Syrian citizenship. The other option, of course, is British citizenship, and then there's Bangladeshi. But I've already expressed my problems with the idea of her, even their parents getting Bangladeshi citizenship. So I guess I would fall back on British. And by the way, I do want to bring up this quote from Theresa May, well-known lefty libtard. Let's see if I can bring this up here. Here it is. Home Secretary Theresa May has said that the UK will not remove citizenship from ISIS fighters born in the UK as it is illegal for any country to make its citizens stateless. The law says that the Home Secretary should have a reasonable belief that those being stripped of their nationality will not become stateless. And so my disagreement with the idea of having her citizenship revoked is I don't think that reasonable belief that she might not become stateless is there. And so this is something that's already settled in UK law that if she becomes stateless, then that's the obvious problem there. It's illegal. They've already
Apparently
confirmed it.
not,
Even
'cause
Theresa
the
May,
Supreme Court.
previous conservative leader Theresa May even agrees with this.
I'm sorry,
could I
is Theresa May on the Supreme Court?
I don't believe so.
She's not.
Oh, that's weird.
Could I add something quickly to the idea?
Well, no, but that, it's still illegal. You can't just say it's. Do you think she was lying?
Again,
that it's
legality does not mean morality.
Decide what's legal and
Okay,
illegal.
I don't care. I'm talking about legality, and I would say this is also
Legality is boring though.
Yeah, I mean, I think
nothing
if
to
we're
the
gonna
conversation.
try to figure out what's legal, I'd take the UK Supreme Court over Theresa May.
Okay, so the UK Supreme Court said after they've looked at her appeal and said she can't be a citizen, there's no reasonable doubt of that, or did they deny her re-entry for the court case?
Okay.
They denied her re-entry for the court case.
Kobe, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to be honest, the question of who ISIS kids' ethnicity, that is like probably one of the single most hyper complicated questions in the history of international diplomacy. Don't know, probably gonna be different for different ISIS kids. I do got to say, in this case though, I find it pretty funny that the British spent like 300 years going around the world telling different people who is and isn't a British citizen, and now when it becomes inconvenient, they're like, oh no, we could never possibly have one more. There's no possible way we could ever deal with that. I don't know, it's funny.
Yeah. This has been a tough one. It's been an extremely tough conversation here. Yeah, I'm still under. Whether I'm for rehabilitative justice is like up in the air. Most of the times I say yes, but then sometimes I feel the spirit of revenge. So like I can understand that impulse that we have had among individuals here. I was like, well, she's done this, she's done this particular crime, this heinous crime going off with these individuals, and she should have a punishment that matches it. I can see the impulse, right? I'm just wondering if I don't see that, like, how justice works. If this crime becomes something special, something different from all others, where we would take away their citizenship. I think we can understand, yes, that the Bloods and Crips are not exactly like a terrorist group. They're not fucking ISIS, right? We can understand the KKK is not ISIS, right? We can understand these things, right? We can also understand these groups are dangerous, right? Are a threat to citizens, and then people make mistakes. Kids make mistakes, and they fall into these things. They're looking for a sense of belonging, right? And they fall into these things. I don't think that a person like this, especially if she's still unremorseful, if that is indeed the case, should not have any punishment. Absolutely, I think I've been clear on that. But at the very least, guys, like, let her come back to the country, and then we can lock her up there. She is not some superhuman. She's not. It's the same thing they did in the Guantanamo Bay.
We can get these super predators off the streets, man.
I'm hearing, yeah, but yeah, like the same thing they did with the Guantanamo Bay prisoners, saying that, like, if we have them here on American soil, they're going to break out of prison. Of course, they're going to be let loose in our communities. It's literally the exact same arguments, and it was crap then. It's crap now. I got to push back.
I just don't want to spend the money to even like fly her out, like, or just use the money on something else. It's a waste of money to me to, like, oh yeah, bring her over here. Like, no, just leave her there.
Stardust, did you remember your point?
I'm sorry?
You had your hand up.
No. New thing. Yeah, no, I like, as I said before, like, I am, if it is truly against like international law, then yeah, I have no problem with like them taking her back and trying her and all of that, right? It's just like the whole idea of like, oh, we were all young once, right? Is kind of like, it's kind of oversimplifying like the gravity of the things that she was involved in, right?
Yes.
So are we when we're saying that they should be like entirely responsible for their actions only after 15 years of experience. Like, that sounds like a lot, but like, you do need the entirety of your prefrontal cortex to make inductive discernments. You don't need it, but to make like accurate ones that are complex.
But she is 21 now.
I want to go back.
She's 21 now. She's 21 now, and she has all of that lived experience, having seen the things that she's seen and done the things that she's done, participated in things that she's participated in. So I do think that she should be tried as hard as possible.
Well, we're sort of reinforcing her mindset by like preventing her from like being around other British people. What if she develops personal relationships with people and a sense of compassion? Maybe that's all that's limiting her from like taking this step. And when
what if
she
she
was
comes
15,
back and kills somebody?
Yeah, you can't sit there and like
she doesn't want to come back. I'll just point that much out.
You can't just go back and hark to the fact that, well, she was 15 when she started the crime. It's like somebody who decides to like do something really heinous, like I don't know, kidnap a kid or something and do something heinous, and then they did it at like 15 years old, and then now they're 21 or 25, and it's like, well, they did this at 15. We're not going to hold them accountable. What about all the time afterwards? Like the first 3 years, sure, we can give you a pass, and you'd be tried as a minor during that time. Once you hit 18, I don't understand why we would still give you that pass. And it would be one thing if it was like, yes, listen, I was caught up in this thing, and I was like, whatever. I was young. As soon as I got free, I changed my mind. Whatever. You're still not repentant now. So the fact that I can't look at you as a 15-year-old when you're 21 years old, looking me in my face and telling me, yeah, by the way, I think your country sucks, and I hope that we get to blow it up to smithereens. No, stop using a kid excuse. It's not a kid. She's not a kid anymore. Stop.
So
Yeah,
can I
there are a
also
lot
just
of arguments to be made here. There are a lot of arguments to be made here, but I do think that the whole like she was 15, we've all made mistakes at 15 is kind of a weak one.
We all know kids are more impressionable at that age. Sorry, like we protect them from adults who are trying to like groom them for a reason.
So
there's a deep kind of mischaracterization of we're not saying like we're not making a boys will be boys style argument here, right? What we're saying is that there is a way there are psychological realities to being a young person, right? There are psychological realities to these things, right? You are extraordinarily more impressionable. You're extraordinarily more influenced by community and things as a young person. That's just the truth. Look, we're talking a lot about lived experience. Let's look at this woman's lived experience. Let's look at her lived experience. She went to the Middle East to go live in this wonderful Islamic caliphate that she was being told was a beautiful, basically biblical Eden on the internet. And where did she go? She goes to find death, desolation, poverty, starvation. She, from what I understand, many of the places
she loved it. She loved it, Kobe. She loved it so much that she decided to have kids with fucking ISIS fighters.
Participated in it.
She decided to have kids with fucking ISIS fighters.
I think that's a little bit to my point. This woman is so brainwashed that she left the UK, which UK is not great, but the UK is not bad either, and went to a war-torn Syria, and this was something that she felt was better for her. In my opinion, this is the equivalent of when I see this woman, I see the people that drank the Kool-Aid at the Jonestown thing, right?
I can't, dude. She literally watched people get beheaded.
Yes.
As Clearest like put in the chat, there's like documentation of all the things that she was involved in. Right. I don't know how you can go like so many years being involved in that kind of stuff,
that's how human psychology
partaking in it, and well, let me finish. Like oppressing other people, right? Not just people that she views as her enemy, oppressing other Muslims, right? And she can continue to do that and not feel any remorse for it. I don't think the whole she was 15 thing really
argument. Kobe, like you can't like there's a very big difference between like an active crime and a passive crime, right? Like what those people did in like Jim Jones Church and all that stuff, like they harmed themselves, they killed themselves and children. I think they're heinous and disgusting people that got bodied by a cult for sure. Like they harmed themselves and their children. What she was doing was oppressing others. What she was doing was aggressing on others. They are not the same thing. Please stop trying to make all of these sympathetic like appeals. It's not the same
and
thing.
They were not even viewed as enemies, right? They were other Muslims, right? Other Muslims that she was oppressing, and she was hurting.
From the perspective of the Wahhabist perspective, they are enemies.
So I'll let Doobie in. Azzy, I see your hand up. You had background noise. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. You have background noise, so I had muted you before. But let's go to Doobie, and then we'll go to you, Azzy.
So Kobe, I'm trying to understand like your thinking here. Yeah. So we know that there were prison guards at like I don't want to say prison guards, concentration camp guards at Auschwitz, right? Who knew these people were being genocided, totally participated in this. Some of these people were 18, 19, 20 years old. right? Their frame of reference was they'd grown up in a situation where they'd been told by everybody around them that this was okay to do, right? And these people are still being tracked down in their 90s and being put on trial for this. Do you think we shouldn't do that? Do you think that we can use the same thinking? You can say we use the same thing. Their frame of reference was, hey, everybody around them was saying it's okay. They were being taught this is okay. So hey, we can't judge them too harshly for guarding the gas chambers.
Yes, yeah. I do think it's a really ridiculous to find a 80-year-old man with a cataracts in both eyes and try to charge him for something he did when he was 20. I think that if we really want to try to, hold on, I want to answer. If we want to try to pull blood from that stone, we want to try to get some good out of this person's life. What we should be trying to do is trying to get this person, link this person up with something similar to the Shoah Project, trying to find some kind of educational or constructive use of their life. This is a 90-year-old person. I don't think locking them up is discouraging any Nazis. But to respond more directly, just the idea of the efficacy of concentration camp guards. In a fantastic book called A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, who was a concentration camp, or was in the concentration camps, and he ran the medical ward. And he talks about the psychology of the capos, which were the Jewish people that were put as guards in the camps. And he talks about how it was an incredibly difficult decision, and it was something that he does not. He understands why people would make such a horrible decision, and he talks about how he was reviled by how much anger there was after the war against these people because he felt that they were as much of a victim of their circumstances as anybody else. So yes, I personally believe that even concentration camp guards at Auschwitz, to some extent, there were many of them that I do believe were in a similar situation as this young woman, in which they were a victim of circumstances. That'd be my take.
Okay, I just because it seems like in effect what you're saying is like if I were a serial killer at 18 years old and I killed fucking 20 people over 3 years and I didn't get caught and they found out who I was when I was 60, I should just like not be put on trial for this. I should not be in prison for this.
Honestly, probably not. Probably in that circumstance. I don't think. I want to answer that really super quickly. I don't think nothing should be done. I definitely think that if we find a serial killer, that we should definitely like make sure they're not a harm. That person's probably going to. State sponsored, state required therapy and stuff. But I don't necessarily think that the criminal punishment would do much of anything in that circumstance.
Damn, just don't get caught, guys. Damn, that's great.
Let's go.
I think it's symbolic, isn't it?
Let's go to Azzy. Let's go
to respond to that to start with. I mean, like I would agree, symbolic it matters if we could prove that it does, and it just doesn't seem this correlation between the severity of the punishment and not wanting to do the crime just doesn't seem to exist.
We'll go to Azzy, Ninetales, Dylan Burns. Okay.
Generally, I think we need to be. She's 1 year in because we're thinking of like her being under the age where in the UK in England, like at the age of 16, you have so many adult rights. Like you can drive a car, you can get legally married, you can serve in the armed forces. Like at the age of 16 in the UK, she's 15. Like so 1 year before. I just don't understand why we're trying to say like that. It's different culture, different context. In different places, she would have been seen as an adult within like the year. So she made her own decision. She fully made her own decision. And she was only in ISIS for 4 years until 19, and then now she's 21. So there's been plenty of time for her to change her mind, to be remorseful, to reconcile with her country. She's choosing not to do so. And then like legally, we're talking about like, legally you can denaturalize a people for a plethora of reasons. What she did included. And I just don't understand. I don't understand. I gotta head out, but I just feel like we're defending her and we're trying to, even if she's arrested, like what? How long is she gonna do jail time? Like for crimes of her crimes of what she did for the like she'd probably be in jail for the rest of her adult life, like not being able to live the life as a citizen. So I don't understand why we're trying to argue for her rights to live as a citizen when even in America, and if you're in the U.S., when you're in prison, you're still a citizen, but you have no access to any of those rights as a citizen. Besides, you get 3 square meals a day in prison, and our tax dollars pay for your care. Like, I don't understand why we're so adamant about this, because she's living in harsh territory, a harsh prison camp in Syria. Like, no. I also feel like we need to be careful of comparing ISIS to the KKK. Like, ISIS and the KKK, like, these totally different organizations. KKK was not out here trying to take over the country. You could say the Union or the Confederacy was trying to take over the country, but the KKK and the Confederacy is different. And you're not America, America is not going to is not going to deport KKK members because even the own government was in bed with the KKK. Like they were literally tattling on themselves. We have to deport like half of our. Come on now, it's not gonna happen. So thank you guys. Have a good night. Appreciate you. Stop defending terrorists.
Peace.
Wait, can I just ask you, would you be in favor of my my re-education camp idea for these people? So take the children.
Obviously, re-education camp is it's not something I necessarily would like to be clipped supporting on
Wait,
Twitch.
well, okay.
But I mean, but if you're saying, well, hold on. If you're saying basically what I was saying, state-sponsored therapy of some kind, then I don't know. So I don't know if I'd necessarily be against that for many of these individuals.
Okay, say sponsor therapy in a rehabilitation center that she's required to join, and her children are taken away while she's attending this.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I think her children should be taken away permanently.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I should.
Yeah,
well,
they kind of have.
Can I say one more quick thing? I know Azzy's not here, and I don't want to talk past Azzy. Maybe I need to find a better way to argue this, but like I find it so frustrating when like I'm not defending her, I'm defending the systems and defending the legal systems, right? I'm not in it. I got canceled last month for hating Muslims, and now I'm canceled this month for being an Islamist. You know what I mean? So I'm joking.
It's cool. I think a lot of like weird tangent points have come up in this conversation.
I highly agree with that. But yeah, and to be clear, yeah, I am not defending terrorists. Dylan is absolutely not defending a terrorist, and nor is anyone else who.
And I'm not an Islamophobe.
Yeah,
I'm not an Islamophobe.
Exactly right. Yeah, I'm talking about like maintain the integrity of the justice system. Like that's all I'm talking about. Like what punishment should we be able to levy against individuals? That's all. All right. Let's go to let's go to
an oxymoron.
Let's go to Nine Tails, and then let's go to Dylan. He's been waiting patiently. Nine Tails.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is going to be a bit ranty sounding because I got together a lot of notes. It seems like we're flip flopping a lot between talking about the person and what we should just do in general. This person does not want to come back.
GSU Gambit, we got an echo from you.
Oh, me?
No, GSU Gambit got an echo.
No, I got it.
Okay.
It was from
me,
Brento.
On my end, my neighbors are.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
I don't think it's.
But yeah, so like. Sorry, I'm still going. So like I think as far as this person goes, if they don't want to come back, they shouldn't, aside from being on trial, they shouldn't be forced to like be a naturalized citizen. And like especially if they're saying they're going to do bad things, then you certainly shouldn't bring them back to do bad things. At that point, your hands are tied. Another thing that we're dealing with is like we're talking about what's the best way to condemn them, but I think we should also think about compassion because I'm a nurture over nature sort of person, and I don't think that this person just did this because there's some sort of intrinsic evil in their DNA or whatever. I think that something led them to both think in a way that made them agree with radical Islamist ideals, and that further circumstances led them to feel like they needed to leave the country. So I think further condemning them or showing them that you're hostile towards them only reinforces their beliefs. And finally, like I think when a country tries to renounce its citizenship of somebody, they're washing their hands of the responsibility of it in general. Like if this person has left your country but is still a citizen to become an enemy, then fucking like grab them, fucking put them on trial for that and hold them accountable. If you're not willing to hold them accountable, then you don't really care. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I know I said we shouldn't bring them back if they don't want to. I mean that in the sense that they shouldn't be able to come back as a citizen. Now, so I just want to differentiate that from my argument that we should bring them back and persecute them.
Dylan Burns.
I just want to be clear, right? That this is like somebody who was like absolutely awful, right? I mean, she did end up killing 10 people, right? I mean, she wiped out Tomato Town completely. It was an absolute disaster. I mean, like she worked with ISIS. She kept heading southbound throughout northeastern Syria. And it was a disaster, and I just think that she should be placed in a prison when she gets back. But she should come back.